against of people that, they say they're collecting and they're preserving stuff, but it's in their basement. It's like
Yeah,
no one
yeah,
has, you
that
know what
really
I mean,
sucks.
Cliff? It's like nobody has access
Access,
to
it's
it.
like, oh, I'm preserving it, but like to who? Like I
To who?
remember going on I don't know if you've heard of the cutting room floor before, but it's a site that has a lot of information on past games and information about games. And
Yeah.
I was looking on their site one day, and they were discussing this rare version of Mario Kart DS that had a demo from 2005. And here's the thing: is that you go on YouTube, and this one dude has this rare cartridge. Like, oh yeah, like I'm preserved. I'm like, who are you preserving it? Only you have it. It's different. It's different if you share the ROM and let the community access it. But no,
Exactly.
you just have it in your room. That's not doing
Yes.
anything for somebody.
And I get it. Like, we all want that sense of ownership. Like, I enjoy, and I take pride over my own stuff, and like showing it off. It is what it is. That's what naturally a collector is going to do. But my collection, I always want to open it up to the public. And also, you got to bring into, other topics that people don't generally think about. But it's like, we're all going to die. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So if
Yeah,
you're a collector and you pass away, what are your plans for your collection? Do
yeah.
your family want to handle it? Do your family, like, do you need to sell it? Do you need to donate it? Like, what are you going to do with your collection? Because, you know, plastic is plastic. You're going to die. This is going to stay. So what's going to happen? So that's why I'm against people telling me, like, oh, I'm preserving games. Yeah, but if you die and your game stayed in the basement, then
It's
how
not
does
really
that
anybody
benefit
in
the
the long.
preservation? I am totally against of people that, they say they're collecting and they're preserving stuff, but it's in their basement. It's like
Yeah,
no one
yeah.
has, you
That
know what
really
I mean,
sucks.
Cliff? It's like nobody has access
Access,
to
it's
it.
like, oh, I'm preserving it, but like to who? Like I
To who?
remember going on I don't know if you've heard of the cutting room floor before, but it's a site that has a lot of information on past games and information about games. And
Yeah.
I was looking on their site one day, and they were discussing this rare version of Mario Kart DS that had a demo from 2005. And here's the thing: is that you go on YouTube, and this one dude has this rare cartridge. Like, oh yeah, like I'm preserved. I'm like, who are you preserving it? Only you have it. It's different. It's different if you share the ROM and let the community access it. But no,
Exactly.
you just have it in your room. That's not doing
Yes.
anything for somebody.
And I get it. Like, we all want that sense of ownership. Like, I enjoy, and I take pride over my own stuff, and like showing it off. It is what it is. That's what naturally a collector is going to do. But my collection, I always want to open it up to the public. And also, you got to bring into, other topics that people don't generally think about. But it's like, we're all going to die. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So if
Yeah,
you're a collector and you pass away, what are your plans for your collection? Do
yeah.
you do your family want to handle it? Do your family, like, do you need to sell it? Do you need to donate it? Like, what are you going to do with your collection? Because, you know, plastic is plastic. You're going to die. This is going to stay. So what's going to happen? So that's why I'm against people telling me, like, oh, I'm preserving games. Yeah, but if you die and your game stayed in the basement, then
It's
how
not
does
really
that
anybody
benefit
in
the
the long.
preservation? I am totally against of people that, they say they're collecting and they're preserving stuff, but it's in their basement. It's like
Yeah,
no one
yeah,
has, you
that
know what
totally
I mean,
sucks.
Cliff? It's like nobody has access to
It's
it.
like, oh, I'm preserving it, but like to who? Like I
To who?
remember going I don't know if you've heard of the cutting room floor before, but it's a site that has a lot of information on past games and information about games. And
Yeah.
I was looking on their site one day, and they were discussing this rare version of Mario Kart DS that had a demo from 2005. And here's the thing is that you go on YouTube and this one dude has this rare cartridge. Like, oh yeah, like I'm I'm like, who are you preserving it? Only you have it. It it's different if you share the ROM and put the community access it, but no,
Exactly.
you just have it in your room. That's not doing anything
Yes.
for somebody.
And I get it. Like we all want that sense of ownership. Like I enjoy, and I take pride over my own stuff, and like showing it off. It is what it is. That's what naturally a collector is going to do. But my collection, I always want to open it up to the public. And also you got to bring into, other topics that people don't generally think about, but it's like we're all going to die. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So if
Yeah,
you're a collector and you pass away, what are your plans for your collection? You know, do
yeah,
you do your family want to handle it? Do your family like do you need to sell it? Do you need to donate it? Like what are you going to do with your collection? Because, you know, plastic is plastic. You're going to die, this is going to stay, so what's going to happen? So that's why I'm against people telling me like, "Oh, I'm preserving games." Yeah, but if you die and your game stayed in the basement, then
it's
how
not
does
really
that
anybody
benefit
in the long.
preservation? I am totally against of people that, they say they're collecting and they're preserving stuff, but it's in their basement. It's like
Yeah,
no one
yeah,
has,
that
what
totally
I mean,
sucks.
Cliff? It's like nobody has access to
It's
it.
like, oh, I'm preserving it, but like to who? Like
To
I
who?
remember going I don't know if you've heard of the cutting room floor before, but it's a site that has a lot of information on past games and information about games. And
Yeah.
I was looking on their site one day, and they were discussing this rare version of Mario Kart DS that had a demo from 2005. And here's the thing is that you go on YouTube and this one dude has this rare cartridge. Like, oh yeah, like I'm like, who are you preserving it? Only you have it. It it's different if you share the ROM and put the community access it, but no,
Exactly.
you just have it in your room. That's not doing anything
Yes.
for somebody.
And I get it. Like we all want that sense of ownership. Don't know if I was like
All right, we are now live. We're now here. What's going on, everyone? This is Kotetsu, and we have always consider you guys special guests, no matter what I'm doing, no matter where we are. You guys are always family, and it's always cool to have you guys here. We have TJ the Gamer, which is a part of MasterSwordMusic, and we have ZapCristal, which is also a part of MasterSwordMusic. Which pretty much we're all a part of MasterSwordMusic. Pretty much, like this is like half of the fam right here, which is pretty cool.
It literally have.
It's like half the family right here, which is dope. But yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get started. First thing we're gonna do is I like to do a nice little icebreaker. What I like to ask you guys, even if people who are watching here, what you guys have been playing, even if it's an hour of your time, 30 minutes, 10 minutes, if you're just logging in to get to rewards, daily rewards, whatever. So whoever wants to go first, what you guys been playing, taking up your time this week?
Oh, me. You're just gonna point me out. Okay. All right. Well, most recently, actually, me and her have been playing It Takes Two.
so good.
Such a good game.
Mm-hmm.
Super dope game to play. Very, very fun. The art style is
Did I go out? Hold on.
You played
super dope.
even like those like side quests, you know,
Oh yeah, the little side mission
the
things.
side missions and the challenges you have to do.
Oh, hold on. We're having some issues.
Oh,
Oh, you're good.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh,
We're
there we go.
back. We're having issues. Yeah, this is always, I think it's my Discord. My Discord sucks. I don't know why. Every time we're on Discord, this always happens. So,
I'm on now Discord.
uh
oh, I see it
and
coming.
but uh but yeah, you guys are sorry, you guys are saying about It Takes Two.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
sorry about that.
Just the highlights of what I feel like It Takes Two. Like it's no wonder it won Game of the Year because when you
Mhm.
play It Takes Two, you can understand why it won.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's really surprised me how good that game is, and then like
Mhm.
the two-player element of it is just so much fun, especially when you're playing it with a good partner. Like we've been like plowing through
Oh,
that
it's been
game.
a breeze. Like I think there was puzzles that were meant to be hard, but for some reason we just have narrowed it down. So it's like been really good.
So
Mhm.
yeah, that game has been really dope. And then recently, I actually from the last Nintendo Direct, I downloaded the demo for that new RPG they got called Sea of Stars, and I've
Yeah.
been playing that a little bit, and
Mhm.
I'm actually it's pretty dope so far from what I've seen.
Yeah, they said that that's supposed to be like the spiritual successor of Chrono Trigger. Am I
I can kind of see that.
cuz I
Well, we were talking about Chrono Trigger yesterday.
Yes, we were.
Yeah.
cuz I
It
remember
kind of does play like Chrono Trigger.
when they first announced the game, and there was just like this kind of whisper that they're like, hey, this is supposed to be like the kind of successor to Chrono Trigger, because I think there was a composer from Chrono Trigger who was doing the game, I think. So I think that's where that came from. That's but yeah, that's
Oh,
kind of
you
cool.
listen to the music?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But that's pretty cool. Yeah, I always wanted to play It Takes Two, but I'm like, I can't find anybody who that perfect player to play with. I can,
Yeah.
even when like with
Either
friends, can't do that.
either you're gonna get along or you're just gonna
Argue.
Mm-hmm.
pretty much. It's one of those games. Yeah.
I got you.
And then
I got you.
yeah, and then for me individually, I guess because you said you're playing that in your own time, but like for me, it's been Rise of the Tomb Raider because I'm a huge Tomb Raider
Ooh.
fan.
Okay.
So I
Okay.
kind of have played that in the past, but it's just so damn good. I was like, I'm just gonna play it again,
Mm-hmm.
and oof,
That game is dope though. I ain't gonna lie.
game is so good.
Yeah.
Like yeah.
I haven't.
So
I have played that one. I haven't finished Shadow of the Tomb Raider yet, but yeah, Rise of the Tomb Raider
dude,
is good.
Shadows of the Tomb Raider is my favorite
Mm-hmm.
out of the entire series so far. When it comes to the modern Tomb Raiders, I was telling you that last time, remember? Shadows of the Tomb Raider. Oof. I'm not gonna spoil it for you. Once you
Mm-hmm.
finish it, you'll find out why it's my favorite.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah, I know. I gotta play it now too because she's been talking a lot about it.
I'll agree. The reboots have, because usually we all know reboots don't always pan out, but I think how the story building with Laura Croft from the first game and her character development from the first game to the third game is such a great um uh great way to kind of take the character from like how they had her in the past to where it was like her appeal was like her kind of, her draw to the audience, but with this one it's more of like the storytelling and the gameplay, which I was a big fan of. I didn't like the old Tomb Raiders because of I felt like it was kind of like that, but these ones are like, okay, I like this because I like the direction that they're taking Laura Croft in here, so
Yeah.
I think it's pretty dope.
Yeah. It's pretty cool when you see how they make sure that the characters feel more human.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I
It's
agree.
pretty
For me, it's recent. I've been playing the heck out of Hogwarts Legacies because I've never ever watched a Harry Potter movie. Well, no, I have, but I've never watched it in like the sequence from 1 to 8. I think there were like 8 movies. And this game is like definitely kind of just puts you in the wizarding world, and they're just like everything that you can imagine you can do like in the movies, you can do in the game, like spell crafting, potions, learning spells, going off, leaving Hogwarts and going to like another place is called Hogmeade, which is like another like a storefront kind of area with a whole bunch of shops and all of that. And did my mic go out of camera go out again? Yes, it did. This camera sucks. And it's been such a fun game to enjoy. So that's been my game of the week.
So
It's
it's not.
Hogwarts Legacies.
So the game is not based on like reenacting of one of the movie books.
No. I think they said this game takes place. I think they said it's like it's some time before the first movie, like sometime before the first book. So yeah, so it's like you don't have to know what happens in the other 8 books to jump in here, because I had no idea. So when I got this game, I told myself this game is going to be my introduction into the world of Harry Potter, and it has been. So
it's more focused on like I don't want to say career mode, but almost like just developing yourself as a wizard or something.
Yeah, because the premise of the game is you're starting as a 5th year, which is kind of like absurd, is unheard of, because you starting as a 5th year and not doing the other years is kind of absurd. So you're jumping into everything really fast, and then so the premise is you're starting up as a 5th year, and you have the ability to see this ancient magic that no one else is ever to see, and the whole point of the game right now is just to kind of hone your skills as either a wizard or a witch, and kind of figure out what the whole thing is of why you're so special and why you can be able to see this and why people need you for this skill and all that. It's a kind of a cliche story where it's like you have this special ability and people want it, but it's always about how you get to that point. You know what I mean? So and getting there is actually really fun. Like going through and
actually.
That does sound interesting, because I've actually never watched a Harry Potter movie or read any of the books either.
Watched, but let's just say I've always fell asleep halfway through the movie.
I heard they're quite long.
They are.
I think they're like
Lord
2.
of the Rings.
Yeah, they're like Lord of the Ring type movies. So,
dude, it's the only time I remember going to the movies for Lord of the Rings. I don't remember which one it was, and we just paid a ticket to go to sleep. The movies. Everybody in my life were all asleep. They're like, "What's the movie's about?" Oh yeah, time to go home.
Oh man, but yeah, it's a good game. I'd definitely, for anyone who has not like know nothing about Harry Potter and they see this game, you can easily just jump in and pretty much learn everything about the world, and then go watch the movies and say, "Oh yeah, I know about the ceremony, which tells you which house you're gonna be on," or say, "I know about how they do the mandrakes, where they pull the plants out and they scream and you have to put them in a new soil." Like there's all that stuff you'll know about when you jump into the movies, which is actually pretty cool.
Cool, I like that. I like how they're thoughtful of it, because like, let's face it, not everybody has read all the books or like watched all the movies. Like, yeah, or like me too, because I think I've only watched the first one. So yeah.
Exactly. Well, all right, so let's go ahead and jump into the recap for the Nintendo Direct. If you guys didn't know, there was a Nintendo Direct Wednesday.
Yes, there was.
And we got a lot of stuff. We saw a lot of stuff there. I know a lot of us, when we heard that's going to be like 40 minutes long, majority of us were like, "Oh yeah, this is going to be like Tears of the Kingdom, like 100%, because it's 40 minutes long. Like, what do they have to show us for 40 minutes long?" I even did a video talking about, I think I said the first 20 minutes we're going to get like a whole bunch of IPs that we've been waiting for, or we never knew about, or whatever. And then the rest of the show is going to be Tears of the Kingdom. But
Yeah.
like they did in all the other directs last year, Tears of the Kingdom was like the last like 2 minutes of the show. But you know, they're doing it right. They're not giving us everything yet. They're giving us little by little, building the hype up. And I'm pretty sure in like April or March, we're going to get a dedicated direct for there. But
Sounds about right.
but yeah, what do you guys what did you guys think about the direct? Was there anything that you
Sorry.
guys were excited about? Anything that you guys were just like just
Don't spoil mine.
I won't spoil yours.
well, yeah, I'll go because I have a hot take for one thing, but I'm gonna let you guys go first. I have a hot take, but I'm gonna let you guys go.
Okay,
I'm gonna let you
interested
guys
in that.
go. I have a hot take, so I'm gonna let you guys go.
Well, when the direct kicked off, I already knew it was going to be interesting when they started with Pikmin 4.
Mm,
I was
mm,
like, if that's what they're starting with, then they got some stuff to talk about
mm,
because Pikmin 4 was like the big announcement from the last direct.
mm-hmm,
So I was figured they might hold on to that for a little bit, but the fact that they started with that, I was like, okay, this is about to be a really good direct. Because they're just like, all right, here's Pikmin 4. All right, we moving on.
mm-hmm.
I'm like, wow, they just really just dropped that and just say, all right, let's get into it. And man, did as a Zelda fan, I'm just gonna get right into it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god.
As someone who loves Zelda, the Switch is now easily becoming one of my favorite consoles of all time now. Because like when they dropped the Game Boy and the Game Boy Advance,
Oh
and the
yeah.
first thing they showed was the Zelda games, and they're bringing Oracle of Ages and Seasons, and you can play Minish Cap, and they got Link's Awakening, and
Mm-hmm.
pretty much this the Switch is probably one of the few consoles where you can play almost every Zelda game on one console. There's only two Zelda games that are not on the Switch yet, and that's Wind Waker and Twilight Princess.
Okay.
True.
Okay. Okay.
Other than that, you can pretty much play any other. They got Skyward Sword, the
Mm,
Minish Cap now. They got the 3DS ones that all seem to be all coming to the seem to be coming now.
mm-hmm.
So it's like you pretty much got every Zelda game. Look at you that you want on the Switch. So I was pretty hyped about that. Then of course the Metroid Prime remaster. I was super hyped about that because that was like the three things I wanted. It was like I want some Zelda,
Mm-hmm.
I want some Metroid Prime, and I want the Pikmin 4. And they gave me all of that, so I was already a happy camper.
Okay. Can I go?
Go ahead, go ahead. I already know what you want to talk about.
I'm gonna go now. So, this is me bragging because 3 months ago I made a video of games that are from the 3DS that I wanted ported or made a sequel on Nintendo Switch.
Mm-hmm.
And let me just break down my list that was fulfilled on this direct. So, one, obviously I was excited for Pikmin 4
Mm-hmm.
because I love Pikmin. Like I feel like it's one of those franchises that always been kind of in a way underrated. Like it doesn't get as much love as it deserves.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like the whole direction that Nintendo's taking it now because if you pay attention to the trailer, it's almost like they're blended in our real world.
Right.
You know, I might be wrong, but it's kind of what I've kind of perceived from the trailer. And then we have a new Pikmin, Ice Pikmin, and like new mechanics, new abilities. It just looks overall pretty cool. So that got me overall excited. And then when it comes to 3DS, I was excited that they're bringing back a Kirby game.
Mm.
Which one was that one?
Return to Dreamland.
Return to Dreamland.
Yeah.
So that was pretty dope. Not only did they mention about the Kirby game, they mentioned Fantasy Life. That was a deal breaker for me
Mm-hmm.
because I did a freaking boss prediction on that video where I said I want Fantasy Life ported or made a sequel to the Switch, and everybody was like, "Nah, Zap, you're just being hopeful. That's never gonna happen because Level 5 only made one game. This is the truth. That's the only game that's existed so far." And we never had sequel. We only had online games when it came to Fantasy Life that they took down as well. And when
Yeah.
I was watching that direct, because I was at work when that happened, and I was like, okay, whatever. I was just like not really paying attention. And then all of a sudden they mentioned Fantasy Life. I dropped everything I was doing at work. I was like, what? And it's a new game. It's not even ported. It's a new game too.
Yeah, that's what I
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. I was just like, I lost it. At that point, I freaking lost it. But then following up after Fantasy Life, the other game I predicted that was going to come to the Switch that they actually followed through was Professor Layton. Like I was like, what? This was my direct, by the way, because all the majority of the handheld games, if you pay attention, handheld games like 3DS games, Game Boy games, Game Boy Advance games, all of it was included in this Nintendo Direct.
Mm.
Like it was very like handheld heavy, like a lot of heavy hitters, just bam, 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 back to back in this Direct. And then the last thing that did it for me, I mean, there was a lot of stuff that did it for me, but the last thing that I think was a highlight for me was Mario Kart 2, where they added the new character because they
when they added Birdo to Mario Kart.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, because Birdo is one of my favorite characters. Because they only mentioned about the courses.
Yeah, because originally they said it was only going to be courses, that they weren't adding any new characters.
Yeah.
And then during that direct, they was like, "Oh, by the way, we're adding Birdo." Which when I saw that, I know she's a big Birdo fan.
Yeah, I lost it.
I was
Mhm.
like, "Yeah, Babe is losing the race." Now.
Yeah, so pretty much at the end of the direct, we will rewatch the entire direct because obviously I was at work, so I couldn't watch it. And when I sat down that second time and watched it fully, I was like, "Holy crap! Nintendo just Twitter was down."
Yeah, Twitter broke after that.
Oh yeah, yeah. We couldn't type anything for a good second.
Yeah, but that was pretty cool. That was pretty dope.
That's cool. That's cool. So before I get into my hot take, I got some ones that I was actually pretty excited for. And it's actually funny because I did a prediction video about what we're gonna see, and then someone in my comments said, "I hope we see a new Pikmin." And I'm like, "Yeah, that'll be cool," because I played the first Pikmin game I played was 3, and I enjoyed it. And then this, of course, the first announcement was Pikmin 4, and I was like, "Wow, someone got their prediction. They wanted a new Pikmin game." So that was cool to see Pikmin 4. I was pretty excited, or I totally forgot about Wave 3 for Xenoblade Chronicles 3.
Oh yeah, the DLC.
And then they were like, then they showed, okay, now coming from Wave 4. I'm like, oh yeah, there's a new story. And then you see like adult Shulk. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah,
And then you saw Rex with Pyra and Mithra's sword in his hand, and I was like, okay, what the heck is happening? And then you see Alvis, who is like the he helps you, but then no, he's like cool with you to the entire game, I think, of the first game. And then
he was like your guide, pretty
yeah,
much.
like
towards the end of the first game.
Yeah, he helps you use the Monado like for most of it. And then of course you see Noah. So now it's like we all kind of were like, hey, where are they going with this? Like with this last story thing they're talking about, because they showed all the weapons, and I don't think anyone had any idea. So to know now that it's going to like jump however long ago in the future of this world, and to get to see that, I can't talk about it because I don't know who's played it and who hasn't. Because
but basically the world of Xenoblade 1 and 2 are colliding.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, let's just say that. Let's just say the worlds of all the games are coming together. I was hyped about that. And then Fire Emblem Engage, which has been probably one of my favorite games on the Switch this year. Because Fire Emblem Engage reminds me of Fire Emblem Echoes Shadows of Valentia, of how it's structured. Because you have in Shadows of Valentia, you didn't have like a main hub, but you were able to do anything at your own leisure. With Three Houses, it was like a Persona 5 thing where it's like, hey, you get one day to do this. So it's like, okay, so I have to choose to do this day, so I can't really get too much grinding in, but I have to pick my days. With Engage, they scrapped that and they said, we're gonna go back to old Fire Emblem where you get to go and train and go do this and train your units, train your emblems, all that stuff. So that's why I've been enjoying the game so much. And they announced DLC for it, like the next wave of DLC, which we get like more heroes and we're getting a new story, and I was excited about that. What else? And then of course, like Zap brought up, like level 5 is coming back because we all thought they left the West, and now they're coming back with like a new IP, which is called Deca Police, which
Yes.
Yeah,
looks pretty
yeah.
interesting. Deca Police looks pretty dope.
A detective RPG. I was like, oh, I'm
Mhm.
all in.
I was like, if something level 5 knows and they're like really good at doing is creating these really unique IPs.
Mhm.
Because like Ever Oasis was another one that they just like crushed it.
Mhm.
But then this one where they're combining detective and RPG.
I was like, because I love detective games. First of all, I just love
Mhm.
detective games, and of course, I'm a big RPG fan. So it's like as soon as I saw that it was an RPG, I'm like, I'm all in.
And that's what I wanted to bring up, that not only it was like handheld heavy, but it also was jam packed with RPGs, if you notice.
There was a lot of
Mhm.
RPGs, a lot of RPGs going on,
Mhm. I
and I was all in.
I would definitely say that if you guys remember the last direct had was just nothing but like RPGs, like
Yeah.
one after the other. It was just nothing but. Yeah, I'll definitely say this one was packed in there. I'm excited for Octopath Traveler 2 because the demo's out, so we get to try that.
I downloaded it, haven't
I
started
haven't
it yet.
I haven't tested it yet either. What else? There was a couple other ones on there that I was
And
just
you
like,
notice
okay.
something different too, that in this direct, every time they made an announcement, Nintendo was like, "Oh yeah, and just so you know, it's available now," or
I made a
you can download
joke.
the demo now.
I made a joke on my reaction. I was just like, hey, if they say Octopath Travel, the da 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 demo now comes out today, and there's like nothing comes out the bottom, it's like it's coming out today, watch. And it says available today. And they did it with like 5 games. And I was like,
Yep.
that's how you know it's coming out today. If they take
Put
so
that big
long to
pause
tell you if they take so long to read the title, or if the date doesn't come out the same time that the title card comes out, that means it's coming out today. And that's happened like 5 times. I just made this ridiculous joke about it.
Which I think that's why Twitter crashed, because eShop crashed.
Yeah, I couldn't even get into the
Oh,
eShop
really?
part. I was trying to download the demos because it was like 3 demos off rip. Because they did a demo for Kirby.
I got
Then
that
it was
one.
the Sea of Stars ones I was talking about. The demo for that. Then the Octopath Traveler demo.
Mm-hmm.
And then Metroid Prime released
Oh,
the
yeah.
same day.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, yeah, like that's
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it crashed.
Yeah, I didn't even try it until afterwards. After the direct was over, I think I waited like about 10 minutes after, then I jumped in and I downloaded the demos. I haven't gotten Metroid Prime yet because, and here's why. I played the games before.
Hot take.
No. This was not hot take. It's not hot take on this. It's not hot take on this one. I played the games before and they were cool, but I never got into them. So I know a lot of people were asking for Metroid Prime, and I'd always joke and I'd be like, "Yeah, okay, we're not getting it. Like, stop asking." But then when we got Prime remastered, I'm like, I'm happy for everyone who's asked for this game to come out for the Switch. You guys have it, and it comes out today. So I'm really happy for everyone who I might get it just for like the nostalgia, because there is nostalgia to the game, like 100%. There's nostalgia.
I mean, that was actually the first Metroid game I ever really, because I never really got into Metroid
Mm-hmm.
until the Prime series, and then that's what made me go back and play some of the older Metroid games.
Oh,
Okay.
now that I remember, it just clicked with me right now. The other prediction that I made that came true for the Switch was when they announced the GBA coming to the Switch. First of all, I kind of already knew that was going to happen because
Oh, I know you.
some spoilers. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I know you.
I was like, yeah, I mean, it wasn't a surprise so much for me. I was like, yeah, Game Boy and GBA was eventually coming because it's easier to emulate. But one of the games that they were showcasing for GBA was the Mario and Luigi series.
Yeah.
I had freaking predicted that.
I could have swore our last podcast we talked about Mario and Luigi for just 2 seconds, and we were just like, that's a series that I think we were like, that's a series that is a shame that we're never gonna see again because we don't have is gone.
Oh my God, yes,
we were talking about that. We talked about that. That's crazy. And then to see it on GBA, you're kind of like, okay, what are you guys saying? Like, as you're bringing it back, what are you guys saying right now? You guys saying we're going to see this again?
When I was like, dang, I just freaking like it was back to back to back. My videos, everything that was 3DS related just blew up after a
Mm.
couple of hours because everybody just kept commenting, "It's coming, Crystal. It's coming. You nailed it." Like, and that's all the comments I would see all the time. It was so funny.
Oh man.
I saw Fantasy Life on there. I was like, yeah, that's a wrap.
Dude, I
I'm
lost it. He called me. I was like, I can't think. I can't drive. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, it was a lot. Well, it was funny because while he was downloading the demos, I grabbed my 3DS, popped in my Fantasy Life cartridge, and was playing Fantasy Life.
get that refresher going before the game comes out.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Pretty much.
I was excited for GB. When I saw Game Boy, I'm like, okay, Game Boy, Game Boy Color, that's cool. And then they said they snuck in the Game Boy Advance. I'm like, okay, now I'm actually like, I'm excited to see what you guys give us. And I think one of the later titles we're getting Metroid Fusion, and Metroid Fusion was my favorite Metroid game. I think I beat it 3 times, and that's why I love Dread so much, because it was literally like the continuation of Fusion.
Yeah.
So like I knew what was happening.
Metroid Dread is so good.
Yeah, such a great, and I think they think that's why we're getting the Prime series, because I think Dread was the game that kind of said, okay, people still care about Metroid. There's a big chunk of people still care about Metroid, so yeah, we'll do Prime, see how the remaster goes, and I'm sure the remaster is going to do great. So then they're more confident in trying to push for Metroid Prime 4. So
Interesting.
Right.
but all right, now it's time for my hot take of and people are gonna hate me. I've already talked about this plenty of times. People are gonna hate me about this, but I don't care. It's my podcast. I don't care. So when this game was first announced, what was it, during the pandemic? It was Splatoon 3. Now, before we get into that, the first time I played Splatoon was Splatoon 2. That was the first time I played Splatoon. And I enjoyed Splatoon 2 because I've never played the series before. And I put at least 100 plus hours into that game. My favorite mode is Salmon Run. I love Salmon Run. It's probably like I love like survival wave enemy type of games. And Salmon Run did it really good, really well. And I was like, Splatoon, yeah, like first time getting into Splatoon 2, it was great. Then they announced Splatoon 3, and I was just like, so after it was over, I felt nothing when they first announced it. I didn't feel anything. I was just kind of like, this is the same game, right? Like, that's what I'm looking at. It's the same game, right? I see all these comments saying, oh man, Splatoon 3, oh my gosh, I'm so hyped. And I'm asking everyone, I'm like, am I missing something? Because maybe I'm missing something that you guys saw, but what I'm seeing is this is Splatoon 2. I promise you, I was like, I'm missing something, right? Because I don't see it. And then, of course, we didn't hear much about it. And then we started hearing more last year. And then we got our did they ever do a test fires for Splatoon 3? I'm not sure. I remember they had a trailer for Salmon Run for Splatoon 3, and they were like, hey, brand new boss in Splatoon 3 Salmon Run. I'm kind of like, and I was like, wait a second. I was like, wait a second. I was like, so Salmon Run is the same as Splatoon 2, but the only thing that's new is a new boss. I was kind of offended. I was like, you guys couldn't throw that into Splatoon 2? I was like, oh, okay. I was like, I'm still trying to find the reason why Splatoon 3 is like this hype game right now. So when the game came out, I said, you know what? I'm going to buy it for the sake of content. Like, that's it. I'll buy it for the sake of content.
If a content creator, you gotta buy it.
Yeah. So I bought it. I streamed it for about like a couple hours. And I said, this is the last time I'm ever playing this game. Because it's literally Splatoon 2. And I'm just like, and I told everybody, and everyone was like, no, they added this new. I'm just like, no, these are the same weapons that I was able to use on Splatoon. The only thing that's different in Splatoon 3 was the battle pass. Like, that's it. That's the only thing that's different. And I was really mad. I was like, yo, I spent like $50 or like what, like $50, $60 on this game, and it feels like a copy and paste. The story was like kind of felt the same as Splatoon 2 story. Where you're like, you just go through, shoot everything, get new weapons, move to the next area. And there wasn't much anything different to the game. And I was kind of like, I was like, I must be missing something of how everyone is enjoying this game. And no one sees that this is like all the assets in Splatoon 2 were literally just, and if I'm making people upset, I'm sorry. I apologize if I'm making people upset. I apologize. But I don't see it. I don't see it. I sold that game too, so I can get Forspoken. Not gonna lie, that game was gone. I sold that. I sold Mario Strikers Battle League because that was a yeah, that was a I've never played a Strikers game before, so that was my first Strikers game, and to jump into that one, I was like, that's kind of disappointing because there's all there is just the online mode, and if you play with randoms, that's like the worst thing. The caveat about online in that game is that you play online, or if you don't play with your friends, it's going to be such a hard game to play. If you don't play with friends, if you don't have someone in your ear playing, it's going to be so hard. And if you play with randoms, you're dealing with a person that either you say you know how to play or you don't. And if you don't know how to play, we're going to lose because I can't do this by myself. Or if you play by yourself, you're going to be playing against two other people who know how to play, and it's just you and AI. So it was just the whole matchup thing was just jacked, and that's all you can do. And I was just like, no, this game is not good. And I sold that. So going to the direct, when they said, hey, we have Splatoon 3 DLC coming out, and I'm just like, okay, well, what's they said the expansion. I was like, okay, so what's the DLC expansion that we're all getting? And they're like, you can go back to Inkopolis, and I'm sitting there like, that's it. And then they say, yeah, everything you can do in this world, you can do in Inkopolis. I'm like, that's it. I'm like that can't be. I'm like, that can't be it. Like, you are not making people pay however much this expansion is just to go back to an old asset that you guys are making people pay for. There's no way there's no way that people are gonna not see that and be like, we're not gonna buy it. But then all I see in the comments are like, oh, we're getting this, we're getting that's cool. I'm like, you guys realize all you guys are paying just to go play in another hub. Like, that's it. And they even said that everything you can do in the other hub, you do in this one. There's nothing different. And I was just like, dude, like, that's so bad. That's so bad. And then they said that the second, like, there's only there in the expansion, there's that, and then there's like some new thing called side order. Which I'm like, okay, cool. I like that. That's kind of like a play on words, you know, with that. But I was just like really? Like, I don't even know how much the expansion costs. But the fact that they're like, hey, we're just going to give them old assets and we're just going to have them pay for it. I'm kind of like, and it kind of goes deeper for me because it's like, if we as consumers allow that by paying for it, then that means that all they got to do is say, hey, we'll just give them old assets and jack up the price, and they'll pay for it. So
how I feel, and that would be my hot take, because I get where he's coming from. That's kind of how I feel for Octopath Traveler too, because like technically it's the same thing. They're just switching the characters and the stories.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, realistically, if you played Octopath the Traveler 1, then that's what you're getting for 2. It's just again, it's new characters and new stories, but realistically, if you look at it, it's not that much different from Octopath Traveler 1.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the same thing. I'm not saying it's a bad game. I'm just saying, like, that's what it is.
I agree with you, but I'll also say Splatoon 3 is a bad game. I don't see why. I don't.
That's what I mean. And but it makes sense because if he clicked with 2 and 2 was really doing it for him, then I can see how he didn't feel the need of, transitioning to 3. More so
Mm-hmm.
all about the story and just the slight mechanic. Because the thing about Splatoon, and it's not me trying to defend it,
Mm-hmm.
but the thing about Splatoon is that it's an online game. And
Yeah.
because it's an online game, if the formula works, then you don't change it.
Exactly.
You don't switch it.
Fortnite.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. That's why Fortnite can keep adding and adding and adding, but
Mm-hmm.
but technically that's a free game, but you're
Yeah.
going down a different route. But what I'm trying to say is, like, because it's an online game, you
Mm-hmm.
can't really change much to it. It's not like Mario games where you're like, we can completely play around and change
Yeah.
mechanics and because it's a Mario game. For this one, it's an online game. So if people are already used to a certain formula, why change it? So
Mm-hmm.
3, really all it did was like smooth, the roughness around it and add some slight complaints, I mean, address certain
Mm-hmm.
complaints that people had.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause I had a lot of complaints and they fixed those, so it definitely plays smoother. But then when it comes to the lore of the story, that's where Nintendo is also expanding, because that DLC that they were talking about, side
Mm-hmm.
orders, is definitely jumping more into the story side of Splatoon,
Right.
which is something that everybody wanted realistically for the online game. Because I love playing online and all that stuff, but I really want more of the story, and I
Mm-hmm.
feel like Nintendo's trying to deliver on upon it. So yeah, I can understand where he's coming from, but then those that are hardcore, and come from the Splatoon community, I can see
Mm-hmm.
how they're excited over all these things too.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, it's just like improvements for it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess, speak with your wallet at the end of the day. If you like it,
Yeah.
pay for it. If you don't, then don't. It's a gray area. And I think that the majority of the online games that are out there nowadays are all going to have these same issues.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I agree. Like Thousand Star said, Splatoon 3 is just AKA Call of Duty, which is right. Like Call of Duty is the same thing, where it's like that's why I never bought every single Call of Duty. I like kind of got into them like every 5 games. I was like, okay, let me see where they improved from when I played it 5 years ago, and I'll go in and play that. But I just felt like I don't know, man. Like when I guess I was kind of thinking that, okay, Splatoon 2 would just be like the Fortnite, right? Where they just keep improving on that until there was something where they said, this idea that we have for the game, do we just put it in 2 or do we just make a new game? And I think when it came to that, I think it was really just the story. If there was like, hey, we want to just make a new story, all right, let's just make a third game, and
Yeah.
this would be like the our main focus really, and then the online is going to be the same. Like it would have been cool if that was advertised, but I felt like because they emphasized on the online so much during all of these like promotions, where it was like it was different. Like I remember I was talking about it and someone was like, yeah, I still enjoy it. Me and my friends, we have a good old time and all stuff. I'm just like, that's cool. Like I'm not hating on people who do play it, who do enjoy it. It's just like you said, like it's just how I perceived it, where I was just like, for and just like how you say for Octopath Traveler, like for me, I see it as like okay, this is actually like with TJ, he's like, yo, this is it's something that we get to see as like a brand new entry. Oh, did they go up? Oh, there you guys go.
Oh,
I was like, did you guys go up? Yeah, I see. I don't see you guys, but you guys are still here. If you guys still hear me,
okay.
but
That was on our end.
but But yeah, no, it was just like with Splatoon 3, I was just like I I was expecting more, if that makes sense. I was expecting more out of the game instead of me jumping in and just saying, okay, I'm just playing Splatoon 2, even though I already have Splatoon 2 already. That was just my experience with that.
Yeah,
And when I
that
saw
makes
that
sense.
DLC, I was just like, yo, I was like, I hope I hope people don't buy that DLC yet. I hope people wait until the story comes out and then go buy it instead of like buying it and then, well, if you guys buy the DLC and there's more to Inkopolis, please let me know. But what they showed, it just looked like all they said was, hey, our Wave 1 DLC is just Inkopolis, and you guys can do everything you can in this one, in this world here. That's what they said. And I'm just like, that's horrible if they decided to do that to
If
people.
you notice, the companies unfortunately do that a lot. They gamble a lot in the area of nostalgia,
Mm-hmm.
and I felt like that's what they were marketing because Capcom does it all the time. Like, you know how many times they've released Street Fighter collections over and
Oh
over
yeah.
and over again.
Oh
You know,
yeah.
it's like an ongoing thing, and you're like, you've paid for the same game God
Yeah.
knows how many times. You know,
Yeah.
and I think Nintendo knows their market, especially with content creation nowadays, YouTube and what people are geared towards. They're like, oh yeah, let's finally listen and market this, you know, and tugging to these nostalgia feelings, and that way we can get people to pay for it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I wouldn't be surprised that this DLC they added for Splatoon 3 was precisely that of like, okay, people have nostalgia for Splatoon 2 and the, you know, the previous world, so why not bring it back? And you get what I
Yeah.
mean. So it's
No,
like,
I hear
yeah.
you. I hear you. Yeah, I
Because
just
if not, they wouldn't be doing the online service about here we go with the Game Boy, here we go with the GBA. You know,
yeah,
just
that's true.
it's
They
like,
know Nintendo's definitely the nostalgia machine for
yeah,
sure. They
Yeah.
nostalgia.
definitely they will do that.
Nostalgia sells. Unfortunately, it sells. So
Yeah.
Get that.
I get that. I understand that. I understand that.
yeah,
But man,
and they're
that
smart.
but I
Yeah, they get me every time.
but
All they
I
had to do was show me 5 Zelda games I could play on that thing, and I was like, yeah, I'm getting it. I'm in.
But it's also smart because like Tetsu and I and Cliff had this talk last time. We were talking about that, about
mm-hmm.
nostalgia and how every single time it's easier to play it emulated through Nintendo than going through all the trouble of getting the physical hardware to play it how it was meant to be played back in the day.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that was my hot take. And yeah, that was my hot take on that. Splatoon 1. Like I got
Oh yeah, I
plenty.
thought you were going to talk about Metroid Prime. I was like,
Oh no no no
oh,
no.
that's where I thought you were going.
No no no. I I said what I had to say about Metroid Prime a long time ago. I don't think I need to bring that up. I think I hurt people's feelings with that too, with Metroid Prime, where people were like, "Yeah, well, we're gonna see it here, we're gonna see it here," and I said, "You know how many developers they went through just to get 4 going?" And I hurt a lot of people's feelings. I think that's why I'm not allowed on the
That's like
podcast
you and
anymore.
Resident Evil 4
Mm.
and one.
My favorite one.
How dare you?
Oh
We
man.
need to have a hot take episode so I can talk some stuff too.
Oh,
So I got a hot take that
I have
everybody
plenty.
gets on me for.
I have a hot take on Kingdom Hearts, but that's gonna take forever to talk about, so I'm not gonna do that. We're not gonna do
Kingdom
that
Hearts
today.
3, because if so, I agree with you.
No, yeah, yeah, that was my.
Hot take podcast next
Yeah.
time.
Yeah,
Paid
mine's is on
$15.
Mine's is on Elden Ring.
Oh my god.
Oh man, but all
I ain't
right.
even gonna start that one.
Oh man, but overall the direct was cool. We got to see everything. Like I said, I think what they're doing with Tears of the Kingdom is perfect. Just giving us little by little, not giving us everything. So then when it comes down to, because I think, what was it? There was an article or something that came out that said Nintendo doesn't have too many titles coming out. But I think I said this a couple times. I said, because Tears of the Kingdom is coming out, they don't need to drop anything else the rest of this year. They don't need to. Just
That's
like
gonna be a big game.
just like when they first dropped the Switch, like how many games came out that year after Breath of the Wild? Nothing, because all
And
they need
Odyssey,
Besides Odyssey
Mario
and
Odyssey,
Splatoon,
yeah.
technically had dropped during that time.
in
Yeah.
Mario Kart, like they didn't really need to trip on anything. They sat back and just like, we're gonna let, like, they released stuff like probably like here and there. I think one of my favorite releases during that time was Xenoblade Chronicles 2, but
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Breath of the Wild was just like, they were just like sitting back and chilling. They let that money come in like crazy. And then I remember I think it was this week too, and they were like, "Oh, Tears of the Kingdom is $70, right? Like the standard game was like $70, and like people
Is that a
trip.
holiday title?
Coming out now, April.
Oh, so it's not a holiday title.
No,
Do
it's
they have
I think it's
holiday
May.
titles?
It's May. They
Oh
didn't
May, you're right.
they didn't talk about that yet. We're probably gonna see it like another one direct where it's like gonna cut. I think they said this direct is gonna cover like the first half,
First half.
and then they're
And then
probably
they'll
gonna
have another direct mid-year.
yeah,
Uh,
probably talking about the rest of them. But
And
But-
that's another thing that they got something up their sleeve.
Oh,
'Cause if
yeah.
they're doing Pikmin 4
mm-hmm.
and they're doing Zelda in the first half of this year,
well, that's got me wondering what will be the holiday title.
they got something up their sleeve.
That
That's what
could
I'm
be a
saying.
big surprise.
Mhm.
Something's coming.
Yeah.
Something's coming. If Zelda's not the holiday title this year,
What if it's a Mario Odyssey 2?
oh god, that would work.
Like that would
That would
I'm gonna
work.
put it right now. My predictions. I'm gonna lock them in. What if it was Mario Odyssey 2, or just a Mario like type Odyssey, but it's like its own thing?
Mario.
Mm.
If they dropped a Mario game for the holiday season, that would
Oh
work.
yeah.
Ooh, if they drop Mario Odyssey 2, I am sorry, but I'm locking myself in a room for 5 days in a row.
That would,
I'm just gonna play this game.
that would go in.
Oh man. But yeah, I remember when they said that Zelda was gonna be like $70, and I think people kind of tripped out over it. But then I look at it as, if it's a game that they put a lot of resources in, they put a lot of time in, and they just put all that they had in it, and it's something that they feel like, okay, this is a lot bigger, not just in the scale of how we develop it, but what we put into it. They have the right to put that price point so you can get that money back. And the people will complain, people will cry, but guess what? Those same people are going to cry and complain. They're going to be the first people who are going to who buy the game. So I think, so when I saw everyone tripping out, I'm like, I don't know why people are tripping, because I think someone posted it somewhere where they were like, everyone is saying that $70, da da da, and I commented, I said, but those same people are going to buy it.
Yeah.
Those same people are going to buy it 100%. So and
Buy it.
that game is never going on sale. That game will never go on sale.
You know, games never go on
Breath
sale,
of the Wild never won. And if it did, what? It was like $10 less, $5 less during those sales.
Yeah, honestly, I think if you go to the eShop, it's still selling for $59.
Yeah, like it's still full.
Physical copy.
Yeah, if you get a used copy, you might get it for cheaper.
No,
Secondhanded. Yeah.
like I found a used copy at GameStop for $44. There's a new copy out there for like $39, but they don't have a new copy of Breath of the Wild anywhere. So you're gonna have to try it. Best bet is eBay, if that.
I think people are just spoiled nowadays because they forget there's a budget behind
Mhm.
this game. So God knows how much money was put into making this project, and if they came up with the idea of like, hey, $70 are gonna cover our cost plus make some money over it, where we can see some financial gain, then yeah, it is what it is. They're a business.
Yeah, and then you got to look at it as, if we're paying that, we're funding them for another project they can do. So I mean,
Yeah.
why not? I mean, I'm already paying that much for games anyway for my
We paid
PS5.
for 'em back in the day for NES games. Anyway,
NES games used to cost that much. Like,
yeah, not that much of a difference.
So, but overall, the direct was good. I think the direct was. What would you guys rate this direct with everything you guys saw?
He's gonna be biased. Sorry.
why you gotta hate though?
Go ahead.
I'd give it a 9 out of 10.
Really?
Yeah, 9 out of 10.
Okay.
It wasn't perfect. It wasn't perfect, It was a couple in the middle. There was a couple little like, that's a cool game. All right, that's all
Mm-hmm.
right. But overall, they hit me with everything that I wanted, so I was happy, but not perfect.
Wow, I'm surprised.
Yes, yeah. You thought I was gonna say 10, didn't you? So
Yeah,
I got you.
I'm gonna give it based on all the directs I've seen and the ones that really did it for me in the past. I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna give it an 8.5.
You know what? I was gonna do that too. I was gonna give it an 8.5 too, because there's probably like 3 or 4 things that I saw. Because usually with directs, there's one game that I didn't expect, and I'm like, okay, I'm interested. But I think with this, it was really like 3 or 4 games that I saw, and everything else, like TJ said, was just like, eh. And of course, I think Splatoon ruined it. It would have got a 9, but that Splatoon announcement was atrocious. I'll just say that. So we're giving I'll give it a 8.5 as well with that one. If it wasn't for
My
that
thing with
Splatoon.
Nintendo is they always have this ability to get you hyped for a new game. Like
Mm-hmm.
when I saw that Deco Police game, I've never seen it, never heard of it, but I was like, I'm getting that game. Like that game
Mm-hmm.
looks dope. Like they do a good job of introducing new IPs.
Yeah.
Cause that's what sold it for me. I was like, not only did I get the stuff that I knew I was gonna get,
Yeah.
like I knew they were gonna talk about Zelda. I knew they were probably gonna talk about Pikmin 4. Metroid Prime was kind of a surprise, but I knew eventually it was coming anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But the new stuff that they introduced, I was like, okay, that looks cool. The Sea of Stars, that looks cool.
Mm-hmm.
That Deco Police, that looks cool. Like
Mm-hmm.
that black and white game that I what was that?
Blank.
Blank, that looks cool.
Yeah, but that's where
Okay.
I put an 8.5 because a lot of these games were already introduced for the indie direct. And I
Okay.
feel like they felt more so like fillers just to reach that like
I feel that.
benchmark. You know what I mean? I was
I
like,
feel
okay,
that.
it's 45 minutes. So what we're gonna do in 45 minutes. And then there's certain games that I know it has a huge community for it, but they're always dragged for the longest.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Fire Emblem ones, they're always dragged for the
Okay.
longest. Or
Yeah,
like
yeah,
you get what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
it's not me hating on them, but I've noticed this a lot that in each direct, the time they spend on each one of these are longer than for the rest of the direct. And I feel like sometimes they can be shortened and just cut to the chase, straight to the point, tell them
Yeah.
what they need,
Mm-hmm.
move on. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so like cut the fluff, in other words. So I feel like if there was a lot of stuff that could have been cut off, or if they don't necessarily have to be there, you could have just left them for the indie direct or just for another direct down the road.
I will say that though. And anytime
You
they
know.
talk about a Fire Emblem game, you got about 10 minutes. You're gonna sit
Yeah,
there and
it's
play
always Fire Emblem and which one is the other one that they always mention a lot? I keep forgetting. It's always back to back with Fire Emblem, by the way. I forgot.
it's like every direct has a
It's
Fire Emblem game in
the
it.
other RPG.
Like how many Fire
One of
Emblem
the
games will come out
RPGs.
this year for real? Like
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, and I get it. You know, if they're making a lot of money out of it,
they
then
do.
obviously they're gonna pay
Mm-hmm.
more attention to it. But it's like it just takes for the longest. And you're like, okay, I get it. Can you just move on to the rest of it? Because not everybody's into RPGs, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, that's why I mainly would have I placed it in at an 8.5. But that
Fair.
doesn't mean it was bad. It was
That's fair.
Mm-hmm.
pretty dang good. I
Mm-hmm.
think one improvement that Nintendo did was actually waiting to announce things and accumulate these things to do a proper direct. Because they were
Okay.
doing too many little ones, and
Yeah.
I feel like
Yeah.
that was what was throwing people off because they were like, "Where are these the big titles? Where are they?" You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I
So
think they learned the lesson though, because it looks like they're doing just like, okay, this is the first half, and then we'll probably do another one for the second half.
I think that's a
Maybe
good
like two
idea.
or three directs in a year. Maybe it looks like now.
I think that's a good
yeah,
idea. Yeah. If they just did this beginning of the year one, this is the first half, and then have their indie one, somewhere there. And of course, they have their big direct. Or I feel like if you guys remember last year, they sort of had a, no, they did have a direct. I think they had a direct dedicated to Xenoblade, but like at least a couple weeks before it came out. And I
yeah,
feel like if they do stuff like that, if we have our beginning of the year direct, that's like 40 minutes to an hour talking about everything that's coming out the first half. If we have a big title within that, we'll do a dedicated one for that. We have an indie, we'll at least have 2 indie ones around the same time we do our other ones. Then we have our second half of the year direct talking about everything. and then maybe put like an indie in there. If another big
Yeah.
title would do their own one there. So like you said, there's now a whole bunch of little ones, and everything's kind of just spread out, and we're just like, okay, where's this you guys are talking about? You guys are giving us all this other stuff.
Yeah.
I agree.
They're listening. They're listening. I think they're at least it's a start, you know.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I agree. Well, all right. So we talked about that. I got my hot take out of the way. I'm probably gonna have another one if I'm a part of something else and they bring up Splatoon 3. Splatoon 3. I'm gonna have to say something again. But now we're going to get into our topic of today, which is appropriate because of the stuff that we do here on Master Sword Music. I think it's appropriate. We talk about music and gaming. I call it the sound of music. That's like the title of this. So the sound of music.
So good.
Like it.
And I feel like music in any type of medium is, especially if it's placed at the right time and use the right tone, can heighten that moment, even if it's for like a second. And especially in video games, because we're in it, we're immersed in it, we're feeling it, not just what the dialogue is going on and what the tension, but really what heightens that attention a lot is what music is playing during that moment, even if it's from a cutscene, if it's been like combat music or like a certain theme that comes on when something happens, and it's such a great like I didn't really start getting into video game music until I think like when I was in my 20s, when I really started to pay attention. I'm just like, man, this is actually really good. Like if they didn't have this, like what like how would it, like what would my feeling be towards this situation if they didn't have this music kind of emphasizing the moment here. So I feel like music and gaming is such an important part of it now, and especially now how more immersive we're becoming in gaming when it comes to us playing. And I wanted to talk to you guys about that. I know TJ has brought it up plenty of times when it comes to video game music, and and now we have Zap here. We have another perspective on that, how she feels about it. So whoever wants to go first, how whatever you guys feel about it. If you guys have any, favorite, anything.
For me, being the resident music guy, that's just me. Actually, for me, a little history lesson.
Yeah.
Just me personally, I grew up in a very musical family. Like I grew up, everybody in my family either sings, plays an instrument. So music has always been a part of my life since I was very, very young. And so when I started getting into gaming, one of the first things I started paying attention to was music. Just because that's kind of just where my brain naturally goes. So at a very early age, I'm listening to these tracks and these games, and I'm just like somebody had to compose these. Somebody actually had to sit down and write this and put it together and make it fit into the game. And like, how do they do this and how do they make all of this work? It always interests me from a very young age, and how it triggers certain things in our like emotions. Like one of the big examples for me is like fanfare music, just those quick little tunes that play, that just and Square Enix slash SquareSoft is, they are the masters of doing this. One of the most iconic pieces you'll ever hear. Da, 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 da. As soon as you hear that, you know exactly. You just want a battle. Just victory music. I won. Let me see my stats increase. Like they automatically know how to trigger those emotions. As soon as that tune plays, or something as simple as one of your favorite games, Pac-Man. You hear that. Like, see, look at that. Tell me what happened. As soon as I did that, what happened? Smile from here to here. That's how easily music can trigger your emotions. And I think that's what video games do a lot better than most mediums actually, is using music to trigger your emotions. One of my favorite video games when it comes to music is Chrono Trigger.
Hmm.
and they just know how to like, they just was using sprite based data, so they couldn't really show you everything that they wanted you to see, so they made you feel it through the music. So when something sad happens, they play this sad mellow tune that just like, oh, this is, I need to pay attention to what's going on because something is happening.
Hmm.
Or in a battle they try to hype you up, so we're going to play this track, or we're trying to elicit mystery, so we're going to give you this mysterious sounding music. Like video games, I feel like I said, even more than better than even some movies do, are good
Yeah.
at just triggering your emotions, and like, this is what you're supposed to be feeling right now, this is what we want you to think. And they use the music to really like bring that home. That's why when we hear certain tunes or we hear certain things, they like I said, when I did that Pac-Man, first thing they did, she smiled because that brought her back
Hmm.
to one of her favorite games. And for me is when I hear that Legend of Zelda, the theme that they've used for pretty much the entire length of the series, is that they kept that same tune because they know it works. And it, like nostalgia, like we were talking about
Yep.
earlier. They use music to trigger your nostalgia.
Yep.
So that's why
Hmm.
certain tunes, like I said, the fanfare from Final Fantasy games, they've pretty much kept that the same with little changes here and there to upgrade it. Like even in like, and I noticed they did this in the Final Fantasy VII remake. They didn't use that tune, but what they did is they had one of the characters humming it in the
Yeah,
background.
Barrett. Like da da
Barrett,
da
like, would
da
just
da
after a battle,
da
he would just
da
go,
da da, and you'd be
yeah,
like,
you would just hear,
"What?"
like, oh,
Yeah,
that was it, that was the
yeah.
thing.
Barrett. Yeah,
Like
Barrett did that.
they do these things intentionally to trigger your. That's how games have become so immersive. It's because they use those kind of tricks to do that, and that's why I love music and gaming so much, because they really use it to the utmost ability to really trigger those emotions. Because like I've always said, for me, music is like therapy. Like
Yeah,
it does, music does something to our minds and our spirits, and it's just gaming touches it in a way that I feel most medium can't even compare to.
yeah.
Mm.
Miggy, who just jumped on, he said that in Final Fantasy 15 prompted us the same thing, but he's like ba 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 ba, and he has like a dialogue after that. So I forgot about that. But yeah, you're right. You know what's funny? You mentioned, you even said it, that video game music, like how the score, they do it way better than any other medium, and I feel that's 100% true because in movies, I feel like the point of music is trying to become modernized, if that makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
even if it's not using it from an artist, but like they have, like, they try to use that trap music type of sound because that's what's popping right now, instead of like really kind of being like, okay, how can we heighten this moment right now with the orchestra that we have on deck? You know, how can we write this piece to make it feel like it's this? You know what I mean? Instead of just like, hey, let's just have someone jump on, make a trap beat that goes with this, and then that, just we'll just add on it because we want to stick to that we want to be relevant when it comes to a lot of the stuff we're doing. And you're right, TJ's right. Like when it comes to just like video games, it's like we don't need to worry about relevancy. It's about, we're creating an experience for our consumers here, and a part of that experience is the music. And like you said, if it's nostalgia, if it's heightening a moment, that's all like important to the consumer, to the player, because either, like you said, if we hear like Final Fantasy music playing, not even playing, but just being like someone humming it or whatever in the character humming in the back, or like you hear this music that brings us back, it's just like you said, it's that feeling we get. We're like, all right, cool, this is the reason why I got this, because of stuff like that.
Mm.
Big facts. And like, when going back to what you're saying about movies, like think about a movie that you watched recently, and name me a song, hum me a tune from a
I
movie
I
that you just
couldn't.
watched.
I couldn't.
They don't make
I
the
couldn't.
music to be memorable. They just make it to fit whatever is going on in the movie at that time, but they don't really make it to be memorable. And that's where I feel like gaming has the advantage, because you could think about a game you played recently. You could think about a moment that you saw in a game, and you'd be like I said, Square Enix is like, they're the king. Squaresoft, Square Enix are like the kings of that. They will get you with a tune so quick and be like, we're gonna stick this in your memory and you'll never forget it. Monolith Soft does a good job of this too with the Xenoblade series.
Mm-hmm.
Like they will hit you with those tunes, and you just be like, "Oh man!" Like I remember this moment. You hear the song, and it'll bring you back to a moment.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be like, "Oh, I remember when this happened because this song started playing, and it started feeling like this." And then you like next thing you know, you find yourself getting emotional. You're like, "What's happening?"
Mm-hmm.
It's, that music got into you. That moment, they nailed everything on every level, and the music is a big part of that.
You know what? Going back to your question, there's one movie I can think of at the top of my head right now is like Black Panther when they play like the fanfare music for him. That's probably the only time I can remember that really was just like, okay, that heightens it. I can't think of anything right now at the top of my head. There's probably is something, but just like right now, I think the Black Panther when they did like the fanfare whenever he comes in, I think that's one thing I can kind of think of. But anything else, I couldn't think of anything.
And I think if you went back further with like the older movies, you could probably find more stuff.
Yeah.
Because I feel like older movies did a better job of that, where it was more so about, like you said, the experience.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas more modern movies are more about the moment, what's hot right now, what's going to sell tickets right now,
Mm-hmm.
not what's going to work in the long run, what's
Mm-hmm.
going to be memorable years and years later.
I
Yeah.
agree. I
Yeah.
agree. Very true.
I think one of my favorite, like I said, I didn't really start paying attention to music until I was like 25, and well, little bit younger, a little bit younger. Think where I really started to pay attention with music. Okay, no, okay, I'm lying. Let me go back. We're gonna go back, and I say I really started to really like video game music when I started playing Tekken 3. And I
Oh,
feel, and I say this, and I don't care what people say because this is my podcast, so I'm gonna say it. Uh, Tekken 3 has the best fighting game music of all time.
I actually agree with you.
Tekken 3 has the best fighting game music of all time. Every theme fit. Street Fighter was cool. Like Street Fighter always had a way to like make you say, okay, that's this character. But like Tekken 3 was like every song was like you hear it. It was so unique. Like I have, man, I can't even pick my favorite ones. Law's theme was dope because how unique they did it. It was
Kings,
just Kings was just so dope.
Kings Team is my favorite,
Yeah,
honestly.
Kings was so dope.
That might be why Tekken is one of my favorite fighting games, honestly. Because Tekken is all like, if you listen to any of the Tekken games, really, Tekken has always done a really good job with music.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like even like Tekken 4, which is one of my favorite Tekken game actually, is Tekken 4.
Mm-hmm.
And the music in that game is a heater too. Like, and that might be why I'm more drawn to Tekken because musically Tekken is just like Street Fighter's always been iconic. They're always gonna have those things that you're always gonna remember.
Yeah.
Like Gao's theme is always dun, 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 dun. You're
Mm-hmm.
always gonna have Gao's theme and Ryu's theme stuck in your head. But Tekken just did a thing where just it made every fight just more interesting and more engaging and just like that's why I love
It was
Tekken.
so dope. It too is like I feel like with if you've seen Street Fighter 6, right? A lot of their music is a little bit modern, but it's okay. That's what they're that's what it is. But Tekken never like strayed for what they were like. If you watch the Tekken 8 trailer, it's like
The
they're
music.
still going to like the music that they played in that. It's like this is still like their lineage of like that like I can't even put a genre on it. It's just like high octane, I guess you can say. Cause like they use like a little bit of like I don't know, it's not EDM, but it's like really just like this like electric, like
Electro
electronic,
Synthwave?
huh?
Synthwave?
Something.
synthwave. What Tekken does is they kind of dive in and out of genres. And it
Yeah.
really depends on the characters. Like so for certain characters they come from certain areas so they'll try to use music to emphasize that like Tekken is I mean I said Tekken King
No. My thing's going out again. Hold on, let me do this.
like, fits that character
Yeah.
so they kind of like play with music, you might get something like that. Like one
Mhm.
of the characters, I want to say his name is
Hold on, let me just do this for what. Come back and then go to come back call again.
so that's what you kind of get with Tekken is like they you get a little bit of everything.
Okay.
So it's kind of hard to nail it down because it's like you get so much
Well,
out of Tekken music,
yeah, that makes sense because it also makes it more relatable, if
and
that makes sense.
that's what makes Tekken really dope because there's
Mhm.
like every character has a different background, comes from a different area, different ethnicity, and they use the music to try to fit their culture and their
Mhm.
theme, and like that's what I really like about Tekken
Yeah.
because they
Which is the power of music at the end of the day.
exactly brings all together, and then they
Yeah.
kind of like merge it all together, so they kind of all sound the same, but they have
You're
different
going off.
Mm.
beats. Oh yeah, going in.
So I feel so bad because my Discord went out. Then that entire section you were talking about your tech and stuff, but
It's all good.
It's all good.
what I did get from where you were talking about where you went into King's theme a little bit and you were kind of saying that how it kind of it's catered to that character and how you can go back and look at other characters and how each character's music is built around that character and their world that they're involved. That's what we're kind of talking about.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can say for sure like if you look at Lei Wulong in Tekken 3, he was this undercover cop, but he was like a martial artist. And if you listen to his music, it's like it fits that where it's like you hear that the bass guitar when you first start like doom 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 doom, and then they go into like
Police cop
yeah
shows thing.
yeah, and then like the Eddie Gordo where we all thought he was just black, but he's from Brazil. They had like the nice little like the b-boy like top rocking kind of music going for his theme, and I think one of my favorite themes in Tekken 3 of all time is um Yoshimitsu's Yoshimitsu's theme. Is probably my favorite theme in Tekken 3 because it was just insane. And then also Miggy was like, how can I not bring up Marvel vs. Capcom 2? Yes, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 had some cool like nice funky music. I
It really did.
Yeah, it had some nice.
Iconic. That is iconic right there, boy.
um
I'll give it to Capcom. Capcom was a good one too, because Capcom will definitely hit you with them tunes real quick.
Mhm.
I'll give it to Capcom. They will definitely get you with them songs. You be like, I remember that.
They do.
As soon as
mhm.
that, I'm gonna take it. Soon as you hear that, you know what time it is. You
Yeah.
know what time it is.
uh um and then yeah, like I said, I listened to it back then, but then when I got older I didn't that's when I was just like, yeah, this music was actually pretty good, so where I started like finding ways to put those songs into my iPod. Before there was iPhones, there was iPods, if you guys didn't know that.
Oh
um
yeah.
and That's what I did. I did it with a lot of games where I was just like, man, these games are like really good when it comes to stuff like that. Like even when I'm walking, I can just relive that moment I had by just playing that song again.
You got
Yeah.
me feeling old talking about iPods. I was about to say Walkman.
Yeah. Same here.
Had the
Me.
Walkman on here. Put a cassette tape in there. What
Yeah.
y'all know about cassette tapes up in here?
Yeah. That crap of a pencil. Yep. Tape it. Tape it. We're not gonna go down that rabbit hole.
Oh, a good point just came up to me too. And a lot of people always ask me because everybody knows, of course, Master Sword Music. I'm a big Zelda fan, but one of the reasons behind that is not only do they use the music to heighten moments, but another
Mhm.
cool thing that I love that Zelda does is that they actually use music for gameplay purposes. Like where they make music part of the game, where the one of your items is an instrument.
Mhm.
Like
Oh.
you have the ocarina and Ocarina of Time, where you actually have to play the notes to get to play. You actually have to learn music. You have to
Mhm.
play the notes in a certain order to get certain effects. And if you play it this way, you do that. And they did it again in Majora's Mask, and they do it. they have several. Yeah, Majora's Mask, where you have several. You had the guitar, you had the drums, you had the brought back the ocarina, you had the flute. They did it in Skyward Sword, where you have the harp and you play the
Yeah.
harp. They did it in Wind Waker, where he's like orchestrating with the Wind Waker. He's directing the winds
Mm-hmm.
like a director would in an orchestra. And
Mm-hmm.
like they used it not also for gameplay purposes. So that's another reason I really got into Zelda, because I love that musical element of it.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I love when games do that. Like, oh, the music is actually part of the gameplay. Or like if you're walking through like a maze part, like in Ocarina of Time when you're going through the Lost Forest, they play music and it gets louder and softer depending on if you're going in the right direction or not.
Like,
So like if you're going in the right direction, the music gets louder.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going the wrong way, the music gets softer. And that's how you
interesting.
solve the puzzle. It's like, oh, if I keep listening, if I listen for the
That's
music,
hot potato.
yeah, like, oh, it's getting louder in this direction, so I need to go that way. And there's several times where they use music as like a puzzle or a way to
Interesting.
solve a puzzle. And I love, or solutions to different problems. Like in Majora's Mask, like when you play the Song of Time, normally it just sends you back 3 days when you start over.
Mm-hmm.
But if you play each note twice, it speeds up time. Or
Okay.
if you play it backwards, it slows down time. So like
Okay.
just neat little stuff like that that they do with music. And if you play it in certain time signatures, you get different effects. Like they really go in on this like musical aspect in their games. And that's another thing that kind of touched me with Zelda. And that's another reason I love Zelda. And I just
Interesting.
wanted an excuse to talk about Zelda. So there you go.
Yeah. There you go.
Uh,
No,
uh, what about you, Zap? Is there anything that when it comes to like music and gaming that you just like?
TJ lets me talk.
Anyway, let's talk about okay. Sorry.
Um, but actually, you did hit on a lot of points I wanted to talk about eventually because like I come from a musical family too. Like my dad's a musician, my mom sings. Yeah, everybody in my family either sings or plays an instrument. So I kind of get where you're coming from too, because that's basically how I grew up as well. Um, and like listening to music was also a big part of me playing video games and what got me playing video games even in the first place too.
Mm-hmm.
So like a lot of video games that I played back in the day, even though I don't remember, quite frankly, like, oh, I don't remember how to do a complete walkthrough or playthrough of the game. But when it comes to the music, for some weird reason, as soon as they play it, like I just know it's instinct. Like I'm like, oh yeah, it's this game.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like a part of it was because, graphically and system wise, we were so limited to what they could do with games
Mm-hmm.
that I feel like music played a huge role in compensating what in other areas they were lacking of, you know?
Right.
So music definitely did play a big role back in the day. Nowadays, it's kind of been backwards where graphically, games look insanely good and all that stuff. And then music has kind of gone to, second place. But that
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean that all companies have done that. Like a lot of companies have done a good job in continuing making music part of video games. Like Capcom obviously does a really good job because
Mm-hmm.
even with the Resident Evil games, if you pay attention to the soundtracks of Resident Evil, one of the reasons why I love Resident Evil is actually because of the soundtracks. Because
Okay.
if you don't play the games and you just listen to the soundtracks of Resident Evil, it is freaking phenomenal.
Okay.
It's just so well, especially for Resident Evil 8 Village. Just listen to the soundtrack, don't even play the game, and you'll be like, wow, this is insanely good. And it's like it's one of the main reasons why I've fallen in love with so many franchises. Like for example, Assassin's Creed.
Mm-hmm.
I love their music. The majority of the times, I don't even play the game. Like I just pause and go straight to the menu and just leave it there. And then they have like this orchestra, the symphony, and then the voices coming in, and oh my
Mm-hmm.
god, it's just like freaking
Yeah.
Valhalla. Their
Oh,
soundtrack too.
Valhalla is a good like I love sitting in the boat and just letting them just sing. I'll just be like,
Dang,
that's so dope how they just how
dang,
Black
authentic that
Flag
is.
does a good job of that too.
Black Flag did
another
it too.
game that really does it for me that like musically it was insanely good was Red Dead Redemption 2.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I liked it so much too is because one, the ambience, building up the environment of the game, but also one thing I loved about it is that when you're traveling to places and it's like long trips, they purposely created tunes where there's actual singers and they've like written songs from scratch,
Mm-hmm.
and they've put together an entire show just to entertain you while you're traveling from point A to point B.
Right.
And it's insanely good because, again, if you just want to listen to the soundtrack and really don't want to play the game, it's just well done. It's well
Just
done.
good music.
And then Mario Odyssey. I love Mario Odyssey for that same reason because talking about nostalgia, that hit home when this, when it came to nostalgia. And then they gave it like this modern taste, but it still feels familiar.
Mm-hmm.
And like it was amazing. Like when you go to which is New York City, but obviously they named it differently. When they it's one of my favorite parts where what's her name? Pauline?
Yeah.
Pauline starts singing, and this entire level that you're playing is just the entire soundtrack. Oh, that's like one of my favorite
Yeah.
parts of
Same.
the game.
That was my favorite
So
part
like
too.
so like at the end of the day, I just feel like music when it comes to video games does such a good job playing with your emotions. That's one. Just creating memories, like you feel like you belong to in this world.
Mm-hmm.
And it's mainly because of the music. And then when you watch like events like the video, like what's the name? I forgot of Jeff Keighley,
The Game Awards.
yeah, the Game Awards. When you watch the Game Awards
Mm-hmm.
and you see that they have a whole segment just dedicated into playing the soundtracks for each one
Yeah.
of these
Yeah, when
games.
they did the God of War rendition,
I
that
wanted
was
to. Yeah, I wanted to
Yeah.
touch on that, but I'll let you finish. I wanted to touch on the
Oh,
God
okay,
of
yeah.
War.
So like you actually learn how to appreciate how much music plays a part in video games. Like every little bit of it just matters. And like
Mm-hmm.
you said, like little things that are like we would consider like sound effects that are familiar for us. Like Fantasy Life does it all the time for me. Like there's this one every time I unlock a little item or something, there's something that I think they play like a what is it called? A kazoo or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's called the instrument. Yeah. And it's so funny because it's in the way they played it. I was like, it's like so. Every time I hear it, I love it. I just let it play because I'm like, yes, I got an item. Yes, I got an item.
Mm-hmm.
But then like switching music from area to area, too.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Like there's times when in Fantasy Life, I just go purposely to one area because I want to listen to a specific soundtrack that I know will only play out if I'm in this area in the
Mm-hmm.
game. So just small things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like having different music based on what area you're in definitely makes you feel like you're actually in another area, not just aesthetically, but like with the sounds as well. Because you're just like, all right, cool. I'm in this town, or like say like you're like me. I'll like do something and I'll go away for a second and I'll hear the music. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm here. Even though I'm in another room, I hear the music. Okay, I'm in this town because this music is playing. Just having those different like indications will when it comes to music definitely helps as well. You brought up God of War, and I was thinking about this too. God of War, when it comes to music, in my opinion, has probably the best immersive music, if that makes sense, because whenever you hear Kratos' theme playing, no matter how they do it, is you get that God complex because of how it's tied to him, like how the tone of it, how they kind of start off and then they kind of pick up later, and it's always the same kind of like it's the same theme, but no matter how they play it, it always makes you feel like yeah, I'm playing as Kratos. because this theme is playing right now, and I know something's gonna happen, either a crazy scene or he's going to like, or dialogue is going to like be catered to Kratos because the music is playing, because it's going to bring out some kind of intensity. So even in Ragnarok was just such a good game, and the music in there is something that I've always like paid attention to as well. And you mentioned Resident Evil. I that's the one game I don't pay attention to unless it's like a cue. Like if I hear music, I'm like, okay, something's around this corner. That's the only time I pay attention, because that's a cue for me that, okay, freaking Mr. X is about to run through this wall, and I'm about to stop playing. Like we talked about this. I can't finish Resident Evil 2 because of Mr. X. I can't finish that game because
It's funny because it's so iconic, like what you were mentioning earlier, because the two that are like stuck that I'm like playing it over and over as we talk about it, like Mario and Luigi series, I always remember the battle song. It's like
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
like automatically like I can hear it.
Yeah.
But then the other one that does it for me is the Luigi's Mansion theme song.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because what I love about it is that not only do you hear it, but then when Luigi's scared, he's humming it.
Yeah.
Yes, that's so
Yeah.
true. Either
And
yeah.
yeah, so it's just one of those things that like if I'm in the kitchen and I'm listening to it, I'm gonna automatically hum to it.
Like, you know what it is. You know.
Yeah, I'm automatically. So like I just love when they reinforce it, because then Luigi sounds so cute because he's terrified, but it's almost like he's trying to calm himself down, so
Mhm.
he's humming to his own theme. You
Yeah.
know?
So dope.
Yeah.
I love
That
that.
is that is clever how they did that. I besides like the whole Final Fantasy thing, I think that's probably like how other characters hum the fanfare music. I think that's probably the most clever way to use that, where like you said, if Luigi was like in like when it's pitch black and dark, he's humming it. But if it's like didn't he have like when it was like the lights were on too, he was humming the theme, but he was
Yeah.
like, all right, cool, this is, I don't, this is
More
clear.
calm.
Yeah,
More
like he was
calm.
cool
Yeah.
about it. Oh,
But then
that's
in the
crazy.
dark parts, he was like humming it a little bit harder, like a little bit like
Yeah.
trying to calm himself down. You know what's another game that, speaking about music, that really did it for me, that hits home too? Crazy Taxi.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Like yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. And
This
SSX
yeah, I
all
think
about music.
SSS Tricky was like, I love the music in SSS Tricky. The music
Yeah.
in that game was so dope.
Tricky.
Like, man, that was dope. It's fun.
Another one another game that was really good at that too was Tony Hawk's Pro Skater.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Tony Hawk
Yeah.
was good. I think another game too that you mentioned, Crazy Taxi, was a franchise that I pray comes back. They're doing a successor of it. Is Jet Set Radio Future was the
Yes.
dopest music on there too. It was so dope. Jet Set, just like Jet Grind Radio and Jet Set Radio Future had like the dopest music on there. And oh man, like I remember I ripped the entire soundtrack onto my iPod before I went to school, and I was late because I was trying to get all that stuff on my iPod so I can listen to it on my way to school.
Yeah. That's why I love so much Yoshi's Island.
Mhm.
Like
It
like,
felt so.
I just love it.
And now that you bring that up, that made me think of something else really cool that they did. In Super Mario World on the SNES, anytime that you would jump on a Yoshi and ride him, the music would change and it would add Congo.
Oh yeah.
And then you jump on the Yoshi, all of a sudden, like, wait a minute.
Yeah, there's one game that we haven't brought up, and I feel like deserves the spotlight now that we're talking about music.
Mhm.
But when it comes to the SNES, and this is my brother's favorite, is Donkey Kong.
Oh yeah. Mhm.
Oh my!
If we're,
Aquatic ambience.
if we're gonna talk about music and video games, I mean, we gotta bring the king.
Country was so good.
Mhm.
Aquatic ambience is one of my favorite video game songs.
Yeah, it's so good. It's just so good.
We had can't talk. We just had Switchbit come in, and he mentioned Jurassic 5 was on Jet Set Radio Future or Jet Grind Radio. That's true because I remember.
That'd be dum, 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 dum,
Oh
dum,
Yeah,
man,
yeah.
yeah.
What up, Switch?
dum.
Shout out the Switch bit.
So out of all the games we played, all the music that we've heard from all the games we've ever played, what can you say is like your favorite video games OST of all time that you would like if you had the chance, if someone came up to you and was like, "Hey,
Mine's
I will
easy.
give you this whole soundtrack of one video game of one OST from a video game that you want." Which one would it be?
Oof.
I can go first because that's easy for me because I've already talked about it. I think it's the greatest video game OST of all time. Every single song on it is a banger, and it is Chrono Trigger.
Hmm.
Chrono
You
Trigger
know what's
is
funny? The second
so
you
good.
said that, Switchbit put it down and he put in parentheses your name on there. The second you said it.
You
The
know,
second
if
you
you
said
know me and you've heard me,
it.
I love Chrono Trigger music. I've remixed it so much. I've done songs to it. I've used it for themes. Like Chrono Trigger is just it's one of the reasons I love that game so much. Like it was a lot. It hits on a lot of areas that we've been talking about.
Mhm.
Whereas every area had its own theme. There was I was we was just talking about this the other day
Yeah,
because
it was last night we were talking
yeah,
about.
we were literally talking about this last night. Like when you go to the beginning of the game and it's like that open carnival festival, and you go,
I remember
it's
that.
this little side area that you can go off to that you can totally miss. And if you just skip past it, you don't miss anything. But if you go there, there's this one theme that's one of my favorite themes in the game, Gato's theme,
Hmm.
and it's just this one little area that has it, and you could totally miss this piece of music if you just pass it. And every area had its own theme. Like when you go to the cathedral, it had this very orchestral, like a church organ kind of sound going on in it. Or if you're in the forest, it has this mythological kind of sound to it. And when something sad happens, they play something sad. Like Chrono Trigger music is just it hit on your emotions. It triggered your nostalgia.
Hmm.
It had different themes for different areas. It it did everything that I think a music soundtrack should do in a video game. It's like the perfect example of what all video games should do with their soundtrack, and it's my favorite of all time. Chrono Trigger, easy.
That's hard
I
because I'm
gotta
not gonna
ask.
settle for one soundtrack. I gotta settle for two in this case.
Well, what is your two, and then you have to pick between them.
Hmm.
Uh,
Good question. Good
We'll
one.
make fight. We'll make them fight out.
uh, okay, so it would be Assassin's Creed. Like
Okay.
I just
Assassin's Creed 2 music is so
the
good.
thing about Assassin's Creed is that it hypes you. Like you feel like you're like ready to take a motor trucker down. You know what I mean? You're ready to
Mm.
fight. You're ready to jump off that cliff, because you know you ain't gonna die.
Dive into that
But
haystack.
yeah, but then when I listen to Resident Evil Village and their soundtrack, just overall Resident Evil soundtracks, like I know you don't pay attention to it because like for you it's
Mm-mm.
just the cue.
I need the
But me,
cues.
I've played so many of them. I'm like, yeah, the cue, I get it. But when I just don't want to play the game and I listen to it,
Yeah.
it does it for me because I'm like, dang, this actually is really good.
Between
Hmm.
those two, I probably have to give it to Resident Evil because Resident Evil is so consistent with his music.
That's one thing.
Okay.
Like when it
Hmm.
comes to Resident Evil, they're very consistent
The whole
with
series
the
got
whole
bangers.
ambience
Hmm.
and how they want you to feel.
Yeah.
Uh, like they really do a good job in making you like live those emotions,
Yeah.
And I feel like that makes sense in a video game because that's the whole point. Like you want music to make sense accordingly to what you're playing, So there's that. And both games do a really good job at when it comes to music and making you like live the moment. Ironically, now that I'm thinking about it, I would still stick with Assassin's Creed over Resident
Okay.
Evil. Even though I love Resident Evil, I would still choose Assassin's Creed
Okay.
because I love not only the musicality of it, but I also love how they integrate voices and people singing, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just an experience.
It is the reason I like Black Flag so much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
When
do
you're in the
too.
boat and they start
They
singing
start
them
singing in.
tunes,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I'll be like, oh yeah, I'm on a pirate ship. Like I am on a pirate ship because they
Yeah.
are really singing a
It
sea shanty right now.
and
Yeah.
what's dope is like it's. I feel like in Black Flag, it's never the same track. It's like
It
I
isn't.
feel
There's
like
so
they've
many of
done
them,
like
and literally one
20.
of the missions is you can find other music. Like when you grab those
Yeah.
music
Oh, the
things,
music
it
notes.
adds
Yeah.
more songs to the ship.
Well, we're
Yeah.
talking about for me it's modern, but then are we choosing one for retro too, like back in the day?
Okay.
Okay,
Or it's just like one from all
we
time?
can do
Nah,
that.
you could.
I
Since
feel
I
like,
was retro,
yeah, because I went for more modern.
if I
Okay.
had to go modern,
Okay.
that's tough. If I have to go modern, I'm gonna have to say God of War.
Okay.
Because one of my favorite moments is when Kratos goes back to get the chain blade, the chaos
Oh
blades,
yeah.
and the song that plays when he picks them up,
Mm-hmm.
like it's like, oh, it's about to go down. He didn't rebonded with his old friends,
Mm-hmm.
and now it's about that music that plays right there at that part. I was like, well
Okay.
done. Because I was waiting for that the whole game. I was like, at some point he has to get those
Yeah,
blades
the
back.
Blades of
It has
Chaos.
to happen.
Yeah,
And when
I
it
felt that
happened, and
too.
they played, they knew that that was going to be a hype moment, and they picked, like you would say, Chef's Kiss. They picked the perfect song to go for that moment. So I was like, God of War for me. If I had to go modern,
I would say Donkey Kong, but then thinking about it, I'm thinking about it from the perspective of what ties me and what makes me feel nostalgic. So if
Mm-hmm.
I'm basing it off on this one factor, uh, which would probably surprise a couple of y'all, I would say Paper Mario because Paper Mario's soundtrack
is dope.
is really good, and it's one of those that are memorable, and it just you don't know once you're stuck with it, it's not too hard to forget.
The whole
Mm-hmm.
series too. 'Cause Thousand Year Door has some
Because Thousand
bangers
Year
too.
the
Thousand Year Door is my
intro.
favorite Paper Mario too.
Oh
I know.
yeah, it's like as soon as you hear it, you're like, dun, 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 and like, they just open it up that way. We're like, yes, I am ready.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, I would go with Paper Mario.
That's a good choice.
Yeah,
I'm not even mad at that.
Okay.
What about you, Mr. Katetsu?
Splatoon.
You know what?
Best music ever.
There's one track in Splatoon 2 when the
Which one
test
is it?
fire
Send
came
it
out.
to
When the
you, bro.
test fire came out, I don't know what the song of it was, but it was just like when I first played when they first had the test fire and they played like I think that was like the stage that was locked in for the beta and they had that track in it. It had like a nice little like upbeat funky thing and I was like, okay, yeah, that's dope. I like that. So
Is it
there
like
was
da, 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 da? Is it that
I
one or
think
am
it
I
was I
thinking
think
of?
it was that one. I think it was that one. But
Yeah.
I was just like, that's pretty dope. So but oh man, both retro and modern. Well, okay, so let me
Splatoon has a
uh
really good soundtrack. Don't sleep on it.
Splatoon do got some bangers. I ain't gonna
Yeah.
lie.
uh so I guess for retro because I can I can only go so far with retro games what I played. I can say my favorite retro music can can I stick with Tekken 3? Cuz
I mean,
And
yeah,
I can
that's
stick with
retro.
That's
okay.
true.
I'm gonna stick with Tekken 3 for that one,
PS2 is dope.
and I think for modern that one's kind of hard because I have like a couple. So I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll pick my two, and I'll go from there. Um, Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance had like the dopest soundtrack on there. Because I'm a huge I love like rock music and the fact that they implemented a lot of the songs there and it went really well from boss battles to like just regular battle theme was just really good. And I remember taking the entire soundtrack from the game and putting it on my iPod one day before I go to work. And another one, okay. Uh
Chills.
uh, I, I'd say Persona 5. Persona 5 all around would be my motto one. Persona
Ooh.
5 would be mine
That's
Persona
because
do got some bangers.
I love their battle theme music was really good. And then there was another chill track that they did. When you have like those moments where it's just like you come back from the end of the day and you go back to the coffee shop, that track played, and I remember I'd be at work and I'd move the carts and I would just have that just playing as I'm like taking all the carts back inside. When I used to work at Toys R Us, I just have that track playing the entire time.
It's so hard now that he's just you're triggering me now right now. Soundtracks because one album I want just to listen to the soundtracks is Stardew Valley.
Why
Stardew
was I about to say
Valley
the same thing? Yo?
has a is so good.
I was I was literally waiting. Like it's crazy you said. I was literally waiting for a moment to stick this in because I was gonna make another note about video game music triggering moments.
Yeah.
Because I was actually gonna, I was actually going to get a little emotional for a second.
Okay, go ahead. Because I think you and I are on the same page when it comes to this
I
one.
know that's why it's funny that you said it. But
Yeah.
it's funny that she brought that up because Stardew Valley is actually the first game that me and Zap played together.
Yeah.
So like now,
Mm-hmm.
anytime I hear music from Stardew Valley, it takes me back to the moment when we first started gaming together.
Yeah.
So like that video game song like really sticks in my head now. So it's like because it's tied to a very positive emotion. So like
Mhm.
I was like
Mm-hmm.
Stardew Valley is like
But
it's
overall, too, if
it's
you
a good soundtrack. Like it has
yes.
some heaters on it.
Yeah, if you don't even have to play the game. Like just listen to the entire album, all the tracks.
Because I never really paid attention to it until we started gaming together. Because
It's
I'm sitting there with my headphones on, I'm talking to you, and I'm
yeah.
hearing this music, and I'm like, yo, like
Yeah.
Stardew Valley got some music on
They
it.
really do because
Mm-hmm.
if you pay attention each season,
Has a different theme.
yeah, has a different theme. When you go down the mines, it also if
Oh
you
yeah,
yeah,
every 10 floors it changes too.
yeah, which is super unique.
Super dope.
Yeah.
Super dope.
But also like in certain events, when you
Oh
trigger certain
yeah.
events too, or special like memories, they have a soundtrack for that
And
too,
different cutscenes have
and
different
different
themes.
cutscenes too. Like for it to be an indie game when it comes to music,
They did a good job.
they really did a
They
good
did
job.
a good.
Yeah. Oh, I'm glad that Mickey brought it up. Sorry, I
Mm-hmm.
read it in the chat
I
because
was
I
looking at
agree
it
with
too.
Minecraft.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yo, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
We can go on and on with
And,
soundtracks, man.
and another one that was crossing my mind too when you was talking about Tekken 3, and I got me thinking about older fighting games. You
Mm-hmm.
know, another fighting game that had really dope music in it, Soul Calibur.
Soul Calibur did
Mm,
had nice music in there too.
Soul
Soul
Calibur
Calibur had nice
2,
music.
one of my
Yeah.
favorite fighting games.
one of mine too actually,
Yeah.
because it had Lincoln. Soul Calibur 2.
Oh man, yeah. Soul Calibur was dope. My favorite character in Soul Calibur was either Keelik or Maxi because those were like the martial arts weapons I wanted to know how to use, and those characters used them.
Interesting enough, my favorite character from there was Talim.
After this podcast, you and I have to have a talk about something because I just had an idea for something
Oh, word.
for a project.
Video idea.
No, album idea.
Oh, really? Okay. Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. We'll
Oh
keep it in.
man.
Yeah.
Write it down and don't forget.
So let's go through the comments real quick. Switchbit said definitely Final Fantasy 11, and he also said Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and 3. Miggy said Bloody Tears from the Castlevania series, and then
Yeah.
Modern Warfare. Or I said Modern Warfare. Persona 5, and then Minecraft. And Thousand Star says, oh, the Sakura theme from SF Alpha 2, and Rose from Street Fighter 3, and of course Guile, of course. Ooh, Orchard. Was it Orchard's theme from KI2?
Killer Instinct has some good
Yeah,
music.
Yeah.
Killer Instinct had dope music too. I forgot about that. I forgot about that.
Like, yo.
Forgot about that.
No.
Oh man. So all right,
You know
so
which one has really good music, but
Mhm.
you probably don't know much about it. But he knows what I'm talking about too. Yokai Watch.
Yokai Watch had great music in Yokai Watch. The
Yeah.
themes were always the themes were so corny, but it was like they were catchy at the same time. They were catchy
Yes,
at the same
yes,
time.
exactly.
They
Because
were
you're
so
like, what the hell am I even singing? But this is
yeah.
really good.
Yeah, they were so corny, but it was like it was so catchy at the same like so I used to work at Toys like I mentioned I used to work at Toys R Us and everyone at Toys R Us knew I was into Yokai Watch because I always buy the medals. I bought the Watch Zero from there and I buy the medal packs like all the time. And I actually went as Nate as a Halloween costume
That's so
for
cool.
there. And one of my managers, he was like, "Hey, so you like Yokai Watch?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah." He was like, "Do you know like the dance?" And I'm like, what they do at the end?" He was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah." I was like, "Yeah, I mean, I'm familiar with it." He was like, "All right, so one day we're just gonna have you do the Yokai Watch dance at the end."
Oh,
And I'm very glad that I quit that next week, so I didn't have to go ahead and do that dance. I was already leaving, so I was like, "Yeah, I'll do it next week," and I quit. So I was already leaving, so I had to go do it.
that's so crazy.
Oh, I love it, man. Since somebody brought up Final Fantasy, the Final Fantasy game that I've been telling you I want you to play for forever
Yeah, I know.
has some of the best music ever. Final Fantasy X.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The
Mm-hmm.
music in that freaking game,
He keeps bringing it up.
I'm telling you, yo, it is the best. I don't care what no, I will fight with anybody about it. Final Fantasy X is one of the best. Is the best Final Fantasy game. It is so good, and the music is part of that. The music in Final Fantasy will get you emotional. Okay, it will
But
make you cry.
on a segue here, and I know we got to wrap things up, but you know how we were talking about that we don't really remember like too many movies or like shows. I think back in the day, maybe I do remember
So I'm saying older stuff.
because like older stuff,
Mm-hmm.
because like one of my favorite movies of all time is Back to the Future.
Oh
And if you
yes,
listen to their music,
People
yes.
remember those tunes.
Back to the Future is amazing, but also Indiana Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you listen to it was iconic. It was iconic, and I think that's why I love them till this day. So like, yeah, I guess yeah, I do remember some things,
That's why I
but
said recent, because like
yeah,
older movies,
even
yes.
the Wizard of Oz. If you
Yeah.
pay attention to the
Mm-hmm.
Wizard of Oz music, yeah, you
Mm-hmm.
would remember it. So it was more those iconic films, I guess.
Yes,
If you
I'm saying
will.
older
Yeah,
movies did a really
that's
good job at that, and I think that's where video games kind of took their cue from was those older movies
Mm-hmm.
because they wanted to elicit those kind of emotions. That's why I specifically said recent movies because I think that's something that movies has lost over time
Mm-hmm.
is
mm,
that connection with the music. And I
Yeah.
think that's something that video games have retained because even a lot of, like you said, even a lot of the modern video games like God of War, and even though I don't like the game, Elden Ring has really good music in it.
Yes.
And like a lot of the modern games really still hold on to music being important.
mm-hmm.
They haven't forgotten how important music can be in
But I
their
think it's
media.
for certain genres that they emphasize
Okay.
more music. Because if you pay attention to the games that music is a huge part of it, it's usually like open world games
Mm-hmm.
or
RPGs.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
That makes
Probably why I'm such
sense.
a big RPG fan because RPGs go in on music.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Mm-hmm. Even like the before we go, even like the Dragon Quest 11 battle theme, like the
Oh
orchestra on there is just like
man.
it's amazing. Like I still like I'm just thinking about it now, listening to it in my head right now. It's really good. Even
Even
you
that
know.
Dragon Quest Builders 2 that you're playing,
oh yeah, that I'm playing.
Mm-hmm.
that got some good music in it too.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we can go on and on with
Yeah.
types of video and music.
Exactly. That's why I picked this topic because I knew that we can
Yeah,
talk about
good topic. Good
it.
topic.
Good topic. The next podcast will be hot takes.
Oh
Man,
yeah.
I'm so
I
ready to talk
wanna.
about. I am
I
so ready
was
to talk about Elden Ring.
I
Let's
was gonna
go.
ask you too. I was like, just give me like a little. Just give me one reason why.
You want to taste?
Just a little bit.
Okay, let me put it this way. I think that in this space, it's good to create a space where you feel safe to share perspectives because you might be
Mm-hmm.
surprised of thinking of I might offend someone, but then someone who is timid of sharing their perspective because they feel they're going to be judged might
Mm-hmm.
find out like, hey, I can connect with this person, I can identify because they're not that different to
Mm-hmm.
me when it comes to how I like a game, when it comes to me liking a game or disliking a game. But also, it's just, I feel like we should normalize that in the community. Like, we should
I
be
feel it
able
too.
to
Mm-hmm.
speak our mind and be okay with it. I feel like we're losing that nowadays of like, oh, I can only be your friend if we like the same things. No, we can be friends and
Mm-hmm.
yet have different takes about different things.
Yeah, for sure. Because some of your takes, I'd be like, hmm.
Yeah, you and I don't like the same things, and and here we are.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
very true. It's very true.
Oh
Yeah,
man.
You in Resident Evil 4, you broke my heart.
it sucks.
I I
I
remember
want you to do a hot take
when
on that.
It's
when
literally my favorite Resident Evil
I
game, and she
think
had
what was it? I don't know if it was during this last podcast she brought up. She's like Resident Evil just didn't do it, and I'm like, and then I think she talked about it in a video too, and I was just like,
Video, yeah.
really? I was like, okay. I was like, and then she brought up good valid points, and it's very valid because the game Resident Evil 4 is dated, where she was like it's very clunky controls and everything, and I said, okay, I get that because I recently played Resident Evil 4, so everything she was saying, I was like, okay, I get what she's saying. The controls are very clunky. I get it because it
Yeah.
was during that time and it was dated to where now it's like everything's more smoothed out to where the remake is coming out. Well, we probably won't have that. So I get where
Yeah.
so I got where she's coming from there.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like it was the hardest video to make, but because obviously it's not tailored for everyone, but like it's so necessary. It's so necessary to have discussions like that because we can't all like the same things, and we shouldn't be fearful to speak our minds and say like, I don't like this game.
Yeah, just like I said, I don't like Splatoon 3. There's two people in here I know
Yeah.
who I don't like Splatoon 3. I still don't see it. I don't
I
see
don't
it.
like Elden Ring. I don't like it.
That's
So
fine.
yeah, what's your reason of why we should?
I kind of want to know why, because that might
Wait,
be a topic now. That
I
might be
have
a
several
thing. We're just gonna
reasons.
say hot
I have
takes.
several reasons. I'll give you one real
don't
quick.
don't bring Elden Ring into it, but give legitimate why.
Why it is so boring. Every boss fight pretty much goes the same way. You dive in, you hit it a couple times. This is the reason why. This is the reason why. That is why. You dive in, you hit, you run away. You dive in, you hit,
Oh
you
man.
run away. You dive in, you hit, you run away. That's how you win every boss
No,
fight in that game.
I'm gonna
It
be
is
real.
so
That does not
boring.
always work. Like
It
I
worked for I played through half of the game, and that's how I won every freaking boss battle, and it was so
let me
boring.
before we so
And we're gonna put it in a song.
Say it again. Dive in, dive in, and leave.
Oh gosh, Miggy asked me why do I like Splatoon? Why don't I like Splatoon 3? If you scale back, you'll find out why. I did my whole hot take about Splatoon 3.
Golden Star says, "Ain't that something as a Zelda thing?"
Oh,
Ocarina of Time, yes. Ocarina of Time, I will totally agree with you. But Ocarina of Time came out when? And when did Elden Ring come out?
Here we go.
Just saying.
Here we go.
Ocarina of Time came out many years ago. Elden Ring just came out. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
I might do that.
saying.
That might be the next thing. I'm just gonna open it up to. I'm just gonna open it up to people who are just like, yo, we're not even gonna do intros. We're just gonna be like, whoever has a hot take about a game, because I got plenty. Like that Kingdom Hearts thing, I need to go last because I'm just gonna take up 2 hours of that Kingdom Hearts
An
thing.
intro where it just says "hot take" in flames. and
Yeah.
then just straight to the point.
Not even do my
Go
intro
about
no
Kingdom
more.
Hearts. I'm with you on that one.
My Kingdom Hearts thing will take like at least 2 hours because I got too many things to say about that.
Okay, so it's gonna be a 3-hour podcast.
But anyway.
I'm ready.
Well, anyway, that's going to be it. It was fun. I do enjoy that. I do apologize for everyone about my technical difficulties because Discord sucks for some reason. I don't know why. I'm see if I have to update it or something if it's gonna keep doing that. But it was fun. I'm very happy that we got you guys on here because, like I said, I felt this was tailor made, and it definitely worked out. So, but before we go, is there anything you guys want to, any plugs, anything at last minute things you want to say? I'm going to give the floor to you guys.
And so, sir, take the mic.
Okay, well.
Here we go.
Hey everybody, what's up? It's your boy TJ, and we are back.
I love this intro.
with a few announcements. Well, first, I just want to say thank you for everybody who's been rocking with us so far. We
Oh,
appreciate the love and support you have given us. For those of you who may not currently be aware, we have a new member joining our family. I wonder who that could be. Miss ZapCristal has joined the Master Sword Music family as another vocalist who is doing amazing, amazing things. And just wait till you hear what she has in store for you guys. Uh, on March the 30th, we will be releasing our second MSM group project, Arcade 2.0. That's right, right after your birthday.
oh wow.
So yeah, featuring me, myself, featuring Zap Crystal, featuring Katetsu here, the one and only. We got a Switch Bit, we got a VG Mobster, we got Thousand Star. We're all coming together to put together this album, and everybody has done an amazing job. This is probably one of the best projects we've ever put together.
I agree.
So I cannot wait for that. So March 30th, be prepared for that. And then after that releases, I will be releasing my next. This is gonna be the first time I've actually said this live. So we're gonna do this.
Mm-hmm.
Going to.
Yeah, we're gonna say it. We're gonna bring it.
Oh
We're
my
gonna we're
God,
gonna
I'm
say it. We're gonna say it. Yes, I am. Right after that project, I'll be releasing my next solo project, which is a new album. I'm actually not doing the Legend of TJ series. I'm actually doing a new series now, and the first album is going to be called All About You, which is actually an album that I wrote all about my wonderful partner here.
Mm-hmm.
So it is dedicated to her, and every song on it basically tells the story of how we met and how we ended up becoming where we are now. Of
That's
course,
cool.
still using my great gaming things that I've used before. So this is going to be a very, very big project that I've been working on for quite some time. Literally, technically, about 2 years in the making. And I ain't even done yet. I'm not even done yet.
getting me real
I'm not
nervous.
even done yet.
Like, freaking out.
The second album in that series, which will be coming out in the future, it's
Oh
going to
my
be.
God, you're gonna reveal it
Oh, we
too?
going in.
Oh my
We
God.
going in.
Are
It's going to
you-
be a duet album with me and Miss Crystal here. Called
Okay.
Our Love Story.
Okay.
Where it's basically going to be the continuation of the first album. It's going to pick up where that leaves off and going to where we are now.
Yeah.
So it's like when you met and then now where you guys are at.
Basically. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, look forward to that.
Those-
I got one more announcement, but I don't think Switch is going to let me say it yet. Is Switch, you still in the chat? I don't think Switch is going to let me tell another one yet.
We'll let
Oh,
him.
did I kind of just already say it? Yeah, I already said it, so I might as well say it now. And me and Switch Bit are actually going to be doing an album together coming out soon too. Bad dudes. So, hey, man, we got a lot of stuff going on, man. Oh, I almost forgot. Next week, I got another announcement. MSM is doing a lot. Next week, my main man Katetsu is taking over the channel
Oh no.
because he's doing
For
something.
the take.
He's doing something special for Valentine's Day. He has a special video coming out where he's taking over 1,000, keeping 1,000 series.
Kicking
He's-
the deviant out.
Yeah, he's kicking the deviant out, and he's doing his own rendition, and he's going to be dropping his first single.
2010. Cut his mic off.
It's
We spilling it all, man, because I'm excited. I'm sorry, I'm excited.
Oh
I'm so
man.
proud of my team and what we've accomplished so far. So I'm just excited about what's to come. So be prepared for a lot of music. Be prepared for a lot of videos, and you'll be hearing from us a lot more. I'm done. I'm gonna stop.
Go ahead and pass the mic now.
Pass it over.
Thousand, I'm listening, okay? He took away the mic from him. Well, let me just start by saying that I just hit 5,700 subscribers.
Woo!
So there's that. I am working hard in the background. We're getting ready for a grand comeback, and there's going to be a new schedule. It's going to definitely be a lot of changes for the channel. New upload schedule, a new live streaming schedule, new direction with where I want to go when it comes to content. A lot of things that people aren't familiar with, but I definitely want to experiment more with my content this year. So yeah, that's going to be a really big deal. I think that people are not ready for what I'm going to do. because it is some big drastic changes, but I feel that in the long run, it's going to benefit not only my community, but also the channel and me when it comes to workload and how I handle stuff on a day-to-day basis. But also, I'm working on doing more collaborations, not necessarily with other content creators, but more so with companies, developers, and trying to fill in a space without spoiling too much that I see that is constantly overlooked.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of want to just use my space and my voice to bring that spotlight to them. And hopefully it goes well this year. I do have a documentary that's dropping this year. It's in post production of Retro Video Game Collecting in the Modern Era Part 2, where I am part of the cast. And that's dropping on Amazon, Plex.tv, and I'm not sure if it's Hulu. I forgot the third platform, but it's in post production. They're still editing it, but it will drop. It'll be dropping very very soon. And yeah, and just open to, as always, booking the year with conventions and panels and all that jazz. So yeah, a lot of work. But all I'm saying is check my Twitter, check my Instagram. Be a part of the Discord because it's the easier way for me to make announcements and kind of keep everyone posted. And then we'll see from there what the year will bring. Yeah.
I gotta I have everyone's information on there. I don't have your Discord on there. I'll put that on there, but everything else is on there.
Okay.
But I just, before we go, I definitely are gonna say, like, you two are one of the hardest working people that I've ever got to work with and meet. I've met plenty of other, like, another one I know is Geek. He's another hardworking person I got to know, and then and just with you guys just being on the grind is always just like, okay, how can I take the energy you guys have and apply that to what I'm doing. And I feel like me doing the podcast, which is my baby right now, this is my little baby, is only a couple months old, definitely get improvements and try to do that. But yeah, definitely I can say for sure, like, these two are probably one of the hardest working people I know. So please give them their flowers. Go follow them. All of their stuff is on the description there. Go check them out. Like TJ said, we got a lot of stuff coming, and I'm gonna take a break after, because that arcade one kind of killed me.
I ain't done with you yet, brother.
But no, I'm
Yeah, I got a lot of work with you.
Videos need to be done.
but no, I'm so happy to get to meet you, meeting you guys and work with you guys. It's so cool, and have you guys on here. It's amazing. But we're gonna wrap up here. Thank you guys for giving me your time. I'm definitely gonna do that episode. I'm gonna just be like, look, we're gonna have I'm gonna try to get as many people on there as I can who want to. Like, just like when what Zap said, that there needs to be a place where people can express how they, especially in game, they need to have a place where they can say what they're gonna say and not be judged, but really have more of understanding of why this person feels this way about this, instead of, like you said, being judgmental. And I feel like that's an issue. And
Because we open up about Splatoon 3,
Mm-hmm.
you don't like it, and like that's okay because I might like it, but then I'm understanding where you're coming from. So it's all about being open-minded,
Yeah,
and seeing where the other person is coming from.
exactly. So you kind of inspired me to say, hey, we're gonna do that the next time. I'm gonna just open it up and I'll be like, hey, who wants to say this? And we're gonna do that. Thousand Stars, like, you trying to kill us, TJ?
Well, actually, Thousand Star, you pretty good. You did most of your work, so I ain't gonna yell at you. You good. But the rest of y'all.
But anyway, we're gonna end it off here, guys. It's so hard to end it because I just want to keep on having these conversations, but we got stuff to do. We got work to do. But anyway, thank you guys, everybody who was watching. Jacob W, I know you came in a little later, but thank you for coming in. Thousand Star, Miggy, we had Switchbit, we had Roland here. Appreciate you guys coming by, hanging out. Zap, TJ, thank you guys for giving me your time. Appreciate that. That's gonna be it, you guys. Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe, follow everyone in the descriptions. Go do it. Go give them go show them love. Go give them their flowers because it is well deserved. Go do it. But that's it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and I will see you guys on the next one. You guys take care.